At that moment, Chu Chen fully unleashed the power of both his spirit cores. His life aspect became the constant source sustaining the second core. Ever since the beginning of his cultivation, he had been able to switch between ultimate life and ultimate destruction in an instant. Now the force condensed from both cores was the same. The Destruction Dragon Spear and the Rakshasa Demonic Scythe met in midair, but the spear held the advantage. Chu Chen pushed the spear forward and slammed it hard into the scythe while gripping the Scepter of Destruction in his other hand. Each swing made the air itself tremble, erupting with waves of annihilating force. In his hands, the two super-divine artifacts had their powers released to the fullest. The solidified spirit force he wielded was inherently stronger than ordinary spirit energy. Using the benefit of being a transmigrator, Chu Chen applied a cultivation system from 10,000 years in the future to this age. This was effectively a dimensional strike. With both spirit cores amplifying him, even without a ninth spirit ring, his condensed power was in no way inferior to Bibi Dong's. Rakshasa Hell Decapitation. Blackish purple filled Bibi Dong's eyes, the sign that the Rakshasa god's consciousness was overwhelming her mind. Her attacks grew ever more brutal as the massive Rakshasa demonic scythe slammed down. Space screamed and ground like metal under pressure. A black-purple blade of light extended from the scythe toward Chu Chen. A streak of blood ran down Chu Chen's arm, but it healed almost as fast as it appeared. He concentrated his terrifying solidified spirit force into the Destruction Dragon Spear, and with a thunderous boom, sent the scythe flying back. Seizing the moment, he condensed a strand of spirit light into a physical beam from his eyes and shot it straight at her. Bibi Dong screamed as blood poured from her eyes. The beam attacked her mental seed directly, tearing at the parts of her spirit that belonged to her true self. The Rakshasa demonic scythe trembled violently under the spear's onslaught. Bibi Dong raged like a madwoman. Behind her, an evil phantom descended onto the battlefield at Jialing Pass, an apparition whose gaze burned with malice, the Rakshasa god. Chu Chen snorted and answered with a grand figure condensed behind him. The oppressive aura of the god of destruction made the Rakshasa god's phantom flicker, on the verge of dissipating. Rakshasa Hell! The scythe tore through space, and the rupture expanded until it completely swallowed Chu Chen. He vanished. Bibi Dong had condensed a warped space from the Rakshasa god's power, a realm similar to a domain. Inside, her strength would be massively amplified, and the Rakshasa force she could call upon would be far more formidable. Chu Chen, be careful, Douluo murmured, staring at the empty air where Chu Chen had been. The Rakshasa Hell move isolated Bibi Dong and Chu Chen from the outside world. Douluo could no longer see what was happening inside. He wanted to help, but only a successor of a divinity could contend with another divinity successor. A holy golden light suddenly descended from the sky. A beautiful woman with a sacred sword and pure white angel wings appeared as an angelic phantom, Qian Renshui. Having already reached level 91 and attained titled Douluo status, she landed beside Douluo. "Senior Douluo, what's going on?" she asked. Douluo told her about Chu Chen's life-or-death struggle with Bibi Dong. Qian Renshui bit her lower lip, torn, but her expression hardened. She descended like an angel to the battlefield, revealing her terrifying Zangth, titled Douluo-level power to the Spirit Empire's warriors. "The Spirit Empire should never have existed," she declared. "Bibi Dong is only using you. If you continue on this path, you will bring about your own ruin." Her desire to redeem the Spirit Empire hadn't wholly faded. She still wanted to preserve the angel lineage and the legacy of Spirit Hall, but her priorities had shifted. She wanted to become the angel god so she could remain by Chu Chen's side, and that was enough. Everyone present recognized Qian Renshui's authority and dared not oppose her. With the combined efforts of Douluo and Yuan Zhen, three of Bibi Dong's titled Douluos, Spirit Kite, Ghost Leopard, and Holy Dragon, had already fallen. The Spirit Empire's high-level combatants had been decimated, their military foundation was shaken, and they no longer had the strength to dominate the Douluo continent by force. "Damn it!" Yan cursed from the city wall. Qian Renshui looked up without flinching. A wisp of holy light bloomed, and Yan fell dead where he stood. Hu Lina and She Yue were so terrified they could not speak. Douluo did not press the slaughter further. With the Spirit Empire in ruins and its greatest power, Bibi Dong, locked in a desperate duel, there was no need. Senior Dugu, has Bibi Dong already used the Rakshasa god's power? Qian Renshui asked. Yes, Dugubo replied. Right now, Bibi Dong and Chu Chen are fighting with the power of divinities. Qian Renshui's face tightened with worry. From within the Rakshasa Hell domain, Bibi Dong's voice echoed, laced with derision. Chu Chen, you still plan on letting me go? Even if you have the legacy of the god of destruction, he's too busy to protect you now. I've obtained the Rakshasa god's origin power. Soon you'll be dead. Chu Chen sneered back. He had no intention of letting her escape. If she tried, he would stop her. Chu Chen, enough nonsense, Bibi Dong hissed as the scythe's power pressed him hard. Chu Chen's expression went cold. He began to overlay domains, the domain of destruction, the evil domain, the blue-silver domain, and finally, the ice god domain, the last of which was another domain-level skill granted by the ice god dragon wings in addition to ice god descent. The four domains stacked and amplified one another until Chu Chen was submerged in an invisible sphere of raging energy. The scepter of destruction merged into the destruction dragon spear. The two super-divine artifacts became one. He hurled the spear. It transformed into a roaring dragon as it flew, and an energy storm capable of erasing everything in its path erupted, shaking the domain in which Bibi Dong stood to its core. My domain, why is it trembling so violently? What exactly is inside him? Bibi Dong stared at Chu Chen's chest with wide, bloodshot eyes. A brilliant light pulsed there. Two terrifying spirit cores had condensed within him, their natures perfectly complementary, life and destruction. Like yin and yang, they were beginning to fuse. Eighth spirit ability, Destruction Whale Fall. Chu Chen's eighth golden spirit ring flared. The will of destruction gathered behind him, coalescing into the phantom of the deep-sea demon whale king. Where that whale fell, everything died, and from that fall, 10,000 new things could be born. It was a law of nature, destruction giving rise to life. Under Chu Chen's control, this eighth spirit ability had already surpassed the level of a titled Douluo and become overwhelmingly fearsome. The phantom of the deep-sea demon whale king descended, carrying an unstoppable aura and kicking up 10,000-foot waves. Its path carried the ultimate will of destruction, and as it passed, twisted space began to revert back to normal. The whale fall destroyed Bibi Dong's Rakshasa Hell. Then, where the destruction ended, life in ordinary space reappeared, visible again to Dugubo and Qian Renshui. Chu Chen! They both arrived at his side. Bibi Dong's blood and qi churned. The fallout from the collision with Chu Chen's eighth spirit ability had clearly wounded her. Cough! Cough! She wiped blood from her mouth, looked at Qian Renshui standing beside Chu Chen with concern, and a brief, self-mocking smile crossed her face before it dissolved into madness again. Qian Renshui, are you really going to stand with them and make an enemy of me? Have you forgotten who you are? Bibi Dong demanded hysterically, the dignified supreme pontiff she had once been buried under the Rakshasa god's presence. Bibi Dong, Qian Renshui's voice trembled. It's precisely because I am your daughter that I cannot let you keep walking this dead-end path. The Rakshasa god's legacy will destroy you, Qian Renshui said with pain. I've made mistakes too, but I've learned. I want to walk the right path. Bibi Dong's expression flickered. The word mother seemed to reach something inside her, but the Rakshasa god's influence rushed back. Only when Bibi Dong raised the Rakshasa demonic scythe and slashed her own arm did a moment of clarity return. Xiaoshui, you. She smiled with sorrow. Xiaoshui, don't stop me. The Douluo continent is already beyond saving. What I do is salvation. A colossal Rakshasa phantom coalesced behind her, wielding a giant Rakshasa demonic scythe that seemed poised to split heaven and earth. Darkness flooded the sky, an oppressive, evil light spreading as Bibi Dong's terrible laughter echoed. She gathered all her spirit power and hurled the scythe downward in her strongest strike. Pure light poured from the blade. Be careful. Chu Chen signaled for Qian Renshui and Dugubo to fall back. A blue-silver emperor bloomed in the sky, and behind Chu Chen a delicate figure descended, the goddess of life. She cupped a gentle light in her hands, and as it spilled out, what had been broken was mended. Life returned to swept-away places. The goddess of life's phantom moved forward, and the blue-silver emperor in front of Chu Chen swelled into a towering tree, a blue-gold radiance illuminating the land. The living tree slammed into Bibi Dong's frenzied strike. The shock cracked the walls of Jieling Pass. Stones splintered, and the pass itself began to collapse. Soldiers who hadn't had time to flee were swallowed by the energy storm and vanished. When the dust settled, Chu Chen staggered back, pale. The battle had not been easy. In some ways, it had been harder than fighting High Priestess Poseidon. He hadn't managed to kill Bibi Dong, but she was badly injured. With ill luck, her cultivation might end here. "Are you all right?" Qian Renshui took Chu Chen's hand and infused him with pure angelic spirit energy. "I'm fine," he said with a faint smile. His gaze swept over the ruined Jieling Pass and the collapsed Spirit Empire army. "The Spirit Empire is gone. And the survivors?" Du Gubo asked. "I'll leave them to you," Chu Chen said to Qian Renshui. For these people, in some ways still part of the Spirit Hall, Chu Chen entrusted their fate to her. Qian Renshui didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chu Chen, meanwhile, asked, "How is your angel god trial going?" "The 7th trial is about to begin," Qian Renshui replied. "The task is to pull out the divine artifact, the angelic sacred sword." No one was in a hurry to leave Jieling Pass. With Bibi Dong's defeat, the Spirit Empire was effectively destroyed and the war officially over. The lands lost to the two duchies would soon be returned. Yet Chu Chen knew the true battle had not yet begun. A greater war loomed, the battle between divinities. God realm, space shredded and time twisted, a seal carved with fresh scars revealed a place that had suffered an enormous conflict. Amid the storm of destruction, a ball of blinding golden light took shape. It was a golden dragon, his whole body radiating violent, crushing aura. Even facing the god of destruction himself, the golden dragon king remained peerlessly domineering. "Asura, give me your life!" As the god of destruction had predicted, the golden dragon king's hatred for the Asura god was absolute. His terrifying assault, fueled by his innate divine might, rained down relentlessly on the Asura god. The Asura god's face was grave. In his heart, he cursed the god of destruction, but to save himself, he had no choice but to go all out. Asura judgment! Black-red sword light swept across the sky as the Asura demon sword cleaved through space and met the golden dragon king's claws with a cataclysmic clash. Within that pulse-raising storm, the goddess of life and the god kings of kindness and evil stood beside the god of destruction. "This one is very strong. Destruction," they said. "It seems we have no choice," the god of destruction replied. He gathered his innate divine might and condensed the most devastating blow he could muster, a strike carrying the will of judgment. What he prepared to use was the Sword of the Three Realms Judgment. Chapter 221, Ultimate Destructive Intent, Slaying the Golden Dragon King. "You intend to use the Sword of the Three Realms Judgment, don't you? Very well." The two god kings, good and evil, immediately understood the god of destruction's plan. They both released an unbearably terrifying divine will, which poured into the god of destruction's body in an instant. "Asura, give me your power," the god of destruction shouted. The Asura god, who had been locked in pursuit of the golden dragon king, realized the god of destruction was trying to seize this moment to unleash the sword of the three realms judgment. That killing intent was a technique forged by the 5 great god kings, the ultimate slaying art of the god realm, an adjudication capable of condemning even the divinities. Even the golden dragon king had to be wary of its edge. One misstep and he would be cut down. The Asura god hesitated, but the urgency of the moment spurred him on. If he failed to kill the golden dragon king now, he would be hunted forever. He condensed his own divine will and poured it in. The wills of the 4 god kings converged into the god of destruction's hands. Brilliant light erupted, churning space into dust. Black, white, and red radiance, intertwined as a divine sword, humming with a divine aura, materialized. "You're looking for death?" Knowing the sword of the three realms, judgment's lethality, the golden dragon king spun and streaked like a bolt of lightning, charging straight at the god of destruction. "Die!" The god of destruction roared as the blade descended. The sword struck like a final judgment. Space itself was annihilated. All things withered. A group of divinities pooled their divine will into a colossal shield to keep the God Realm Committee from being shredded. When the shattered field cleared, the 5 God Kings' figures gradually reappeared, A horrifying sword scar split across the Golden Dragon King's body. He was grievously wounded, his spirit core teetered on the verge of shattering. Coughing, his form blurred, signs of his severe injuries. He had only just broken through the barrier, his strength was unstable, and now his spirit core was cracked. He felt his life force draining away. Asura judgment! The Asura god bellowed and brought the Asura demon sword down with his most ferocious killing intent. A black-red blade of light slashed at the Golden Dragon King again. The goddess of life watched the god of destruction with palpable worry. If Asura finished the Golden Dragon King now, Little Purple would have no chance to condense the Golden Dragon King's origin and give it to Chu Chen. The god of destruction knew this as well. After a brief thought, he used his divine thought to summon the 7 great primal sin gods, along with the god of destruction himself and 8 first-class divinities. Destruction, what are you doing? The 2 gods, good and evil, asked, bewildered. Why keep risking himself? The Golden Dragon King was already so badly hurt, this should be over. He must be completely slain. Do not give him a chance to breathe, the god of destruction said in a deep voice. At his command, the 7 great primal sin gods and the others condensed all their divine will and poured it entirely into the god of destruction's body. The surge of divine thought was so massive that even the Asura god froze in horror, sensing something was wrong. Did he take the wrong medicine? Why do I feel like he wants to kill the Golden Dragon King before I do? The Asura god muttered. Carrying that terrible power, the will of destruction radiated from the god of destruction and started unraveling everything into chaos. Ultimate destructive intent. He unleashed his most fearsome divine skill. As the strike fell, the space ahead collapsed layer by layer into extreme chaos. The goddess of life's face tightened with concern. The Golden Dragon King, already locking horns with the Asura judgment, also reacted when he sensed the overwhelming killing intent of ultimate destructive intent. Is he insane? Roaring, the Golden Dragon King summoned the last of his strength. Golden Dragon Prison Suppression Kill. A previously waning aura surged back. He hurled a destructive counterattack forward. The god of destruction, infused with his destructive will, charged in return. He must be killed, and his origin condensed. There is only one chance. Even if a price must be paid, the god of destruction said, voice low and unwavering. For Chu Chen's sake, he was willing to risk a close-quarters duel with the Golden Dragon King to seize this opportunity. This had to be done in secret, especially with the Asura god watching. Boom. The collision between their strongest attacks erupted into a light that blotted out the god realm, making it tremble violently. Within that searing brilliance, the Golden Dragon King glared at the god of destruction, furious and incredulous. You're risking your life just to kill me? To seize your origin, the god of destruction replied without hesitation. The Golden Dragon King fell silent. No matter how insane and violent he had never expected anyone to be crazier than himself. You won't get it, the Golden Dragon King sneered. That's for me to decide. Now die. Ultimate destructive intent was the god of destruction's supreme strike, capable of obliterating the spirit core of an existence like the Golden Dragon King. The Dragon King lacked the strength to withstand it. No! He roared in despair as his final spirit core was annihilated. The god of destruction spat blood, staggering from the Golden Dragon King's close-range backlash. He, too, had been grievously wounded, but he had no time to recover. With what remained of his divine will, he forcibly condensed the Golden Dragon King's origin, his shattered spirit core and the soul fragments, merging them into a coherent origin. Boom! With a single decisive blow, the god of destruction rent space and broke the law shackles between the Douluo continent and the god realm, sending that origin power into the Douluo continent. A god king should have detected such an act, yet the god of destruction used the terrifying momentum of the Golden Dragon King's fall as cover, perfectly concealing the transfer. Coughing, the light faded. Everything calmed. The god of destruction swayed, his divine will exhausted. The goddess of life hurried to his side. It worked, he whispered, letting out a long sigh of relief. The Asura god watched him with a puzzled expression. Is it my imagination, or did he just do something? The Asura god murmured. Douluo continent, Jialing Pass. Things are almost settled. Chu Chen, What are your next plans? Qian Renshui asked. The Spirit Empire's troubles had been resolved, and she had to return to continue accepting the Angel God's legacy. I need to go to the Lake of Life. The next trial is there, Chu Chen said. Chapter 222, The Golden Dragon King's divine sense erupts, his sea of spirit on the verge of shattering. It seems we have to part ways for a little while again. Qian Renshui hesitated, reluctant to leave. After a gentle, lingering embrace with Chu Chen, she spread her seraphim wings and left Jialing Pass. Old Poison, you and Senior Yu should return to Heaven-Do City first. Chu Chen looked to Du Gubo and Yu Wenjun. The Heaven-Do Empire still needs to recover its lost territories. Bibi Dong's whereabouts are unknown. If anything unexpected happens, I'll need you there to keep order. After a moment's thought, Chu Chen decided to send Du Gubo back to Heaven-Do City first. All right, be careful, Du Gubo said decisively. After witnessing Chu Chen's current strength, he felt less worried. If even Bibi Dong, who had condensed the power of the Rakshasa god, had gained little advantage over Chu Chen, perhaps his fears were unwarranted. Star-Do Great Forest, Lake of Life. Chu Chen landed here again. As if sensing his arrival, the Bear Lord, the king of 10,000 demons, Emerald Swan, Purple Swan, and several vicious beasts gathered. Unlike before, the beasts now regarded Chu Chen with a trace of respect. New master, you've come, Emerald Swan said softly. Call me Chu Chen, he replied with a wry smile. After explaining his purpose, Emerald Swan led him to the origin tree sapling. Though still young, it already radiated an enormous life aura. Chu Chen had visited the Lake of Life many times, but had never truly felt the origin tree as he would now. As a place where destinies across the Douluo continent intertwined, its existence was extraordinarily significant. This is the origin tree, he murmured. Emerald Swan lingered only a moment before leaving him alone with the sapling. Just as Chu Chen was about to sense the tree and try to refine it into an origin seed, he felt something else, an intrusion in the heavens. He sprang into the air, eyes fixed on space that was fracturing like glass. A terrifying spatial storm erupted. Had the passage between the God Realm and the Douluo continent been forced open? Who could accomplish such a thing? The destruction ancient dragon bloodline in his body trembled with excitement, as if it had sensed the divine sense of the same bloodline. Before Chu Chen could react, a golden origin, suffused with terrifying power, tore through space and landed in his palm. Could this be the Golden Dragon King's origin? It's done. The god of destruction and the others succeeded. Chu Chen knew they had succeeded, and he also knew the terrible price required to kill the Golden Dragon King. Exactly how great that price had been, he couldn't imagine. The Golden Dragon King's origin was already divine rank. If it could be turned into Chu Chen's ninth spirit ring, it would likely become the most fearsome ninth spirit ring imaginable. He thought it over several times and chose to absorb the Golden Dragon King origin first, step fully into the titled Douluo realm, and only then refine the origin tree. That way he might face the task with greater confidence. He landed and addressed Emerald Swan and the others. Senior Emerald Swan, I'm going to absorb my ninth spirit ring here. It may trigger a massive energy shockwave. Please protect the surrounding spirit beasts. I understand, Emerald Swan nodded. As Chu Chen studied the Golden Dragon King origin in his hand, a familiar silhouette appeared beside him, Silver Dragon King. She had sensed the Golden Dragon King's aura and arrived. Gu Yo, Chu Chen said, this is the strand of origin the god of destruction promised you. I will separate it and give it to you. Silver Dragon King stopped him. Absorb it in its complete form, she said. Once you've successfully absorbed it, you can separate a strand for me. Separating it now might destabilize the origin. Chu Chen accepted her refusal. It wouldn't be hard to extract a strand once he had fused with it. The Golden Dragon King's power is fierce and overbearing. It won't be easy to absorb. I'll stay by your side as your protector, Silver Dragon King added. With that assurance, Chu Chen began the absorption. He released his destruction ancient dragon spirit and condensed 8 spirit clusters, 4 red, 2 orange gold, 1 platinum, and 1 gold. A golden radiance shot into the sky, forming a dragon shadow that circled between heaven and earth, radiating a fearsome aura that put every nearby spirit beast on guard. Silver Dragon King looked up quietly, her expression unreadable. Golden Dragon King, Chu Chen whispered. He condensed his own spirit origin and tried to pull the Golden Dragon King's origin into himself. The strand of violent power surged into his body. His bloodline erupted as if boiling. That terrifying force hammered through his meridians and at his dantian, battering his sea of spirit. A thunderous dragon roar tore from within him. An origin already fallen is still so violent? Damn it! Blood seeped from the corners of Chu Chen's mouth. The Golden Dragon King's power battered every inch of his meridians and tried to invade his sea of spirit. It felt as though the Golden Dragon King had never truly been slain. Suddenly, a surge of violent origin power, all divine rank, smashed through Chu Chen's spiritual defenses and crashed into his sea of spirit. Not good. His sea of spirit teetered on the brink of shattering. The shock even roused Tianmeng Iceworm. Holy crap, Chu Chen, what's happening to your sea of spirit? Tianmeng Iceworm cried. How is it about to shatter? He unleashed heaven and earth yuan qi to protect Chu Chen's sea of spirit, but a hideous, terrifying figure had already taken root inside, the Golden Dragon King's remaining divine sense. Ha! So the god of destruction plundered my origin for you? A decent body, perfect to use for my rebirth. The Golden Dragon King's voice echoed. Chu Chen's consciousness could barely withstand this divine rank presence. The Golden Dragon King had not been completely killed. Using a final strand of divine sense, he had hidden inside the last of his origin, waiting for this exact moment, to seize Chu Chen's body and be reborn. Ha! Chu Chen's face twisted in pain. He and Tianmeng Iceworm pooled their strength, condensing their most powerful spiritual defenses to try to grind away the Golden Dragon King's divine sense, but the gap in power was simply too great. Chu Chen coughed up blood. His sea of spirit hung on the edge of collapse. Chapter 223. Bloodline Fusion, Soul Entanglement, Chu Chen achieves sublimation. The Silver Dragon King saw Chu Chen's condition and immediately understood what was happening. The Golden Dragon King's residual consciousness was at work, an afterimage so dangerous that even a true divinity would treat it with utmost caution. It was eroding Chu Chen's spirit sea. If it continued, the Golden Dragon King might truly possess him. For the first time, a sliver of anxiety broke the Silver Dragon King's usually composed face. She condensed a beam of pure silver light and poured it into Chu Chen's spirit sea. The Golden Dragon King's divine sense, sensing the intrusion, froze for a moment before erupting in fury. Silver Dragon King? You actually intend to help a human? Ridiculous, the Golden Dragon King roared. A destructive golden light burst out and swept through Chu Chen's spirit sea. Under that assault, 3 colors of light suddenly bloomed inside Chu Chen. Blue-gold for life, dark purple for destruction, and blue-white for ultimate ice. The 3 attributes erupted together, and the powers of Chu Chen and the Golden Dragon King collided continuously in the cramped battlefield of his spirit sea. Damn it! Chu Chen bit out, feeling his spirit sea tearing. The Golden Dragon King's sudden divine sense erosion had pushed him to the brink. If not for the ultimate attributes stored in his 2 attribute cores used to counter the invader, he would have already been successfully possessed. Chu Chen, I'll give you all my spirit energy. Maybe you can drive his divine sense out. Tianmeng Iceworm's voice echoed in his mind. Now that I'm a million-year spirit beast, I possess terrifying heaven and earth origin chi and spirit energy. If we combine our efforts... Tianmeng's words were desperate but steady. Chu Chen nodded resolutely. Good, we'll work together. Even if I die, I'll drag the Golden Dragon King with me. Tianmeng Iceworm had long ago chosen to live and die with Chu Chen. Their powers merged in an instant, and Chu Chen's spirit sea brightened, shimmering with new light. The Golden Dragon King's divine sense condensed into a golden dragon shadow inside the spirit sea, claws slashing. With a thunderous impact, the entire spirit sea trembled. The shattered parts were forcibly mended, and Chu Chen concentrated his spirit energy into a torrent and blasted it at the golden form. The fight inside his spirit sea was excruciating. Even a single second more was torture, because his own soul was the battlefield. Yet the Golden Dragon King was no ordinary foe. He had been defeated by the god of destruction only because he clandestinely hid a wisp of his most powerful divine sense inside his origin. A being of his caliber meant that divine sense was at divinity rank. So even with the combined might of Chu Chen and Tianmeng Iceworm, after a brief collision, they were ruthlessly suppressed. Chu Chen felt his spirit sea begin to fragment. His thoughts blurred. "Sorry, Tianmeng," he whispered as the last threads of the iceworm's contact faded. His consciousness sank, the world's energy slipped away. The Golden Dragon King's voice, cold, triumphant, reached him. "Kid, I'll make good use of this body of yours." Only then did the god of destruction and the goddess of life realize what had been happening. Because the goddess of life had been staunchly aiding the god of destruction in healing his own injuries, neither had noticed Chu Chen's state until his mind was nearly gone. That damned Golden Dragon King hid a wisp of divine sense in his origin. "Why didn't I notice?" The god of destruction muttered, pale with shock. He had been totally focused on killing the Golden Dragon King and had never foreseen that. "We can't let Chu Chen die like this," the goddess of life said firmly. Life force condensed in her hands as she prepared to tear through space and pull back his fading consciousness. "I'll go with you," the god of destruction snapped. God realm rules be damned. He would rip through the heavens to reach Douluo continent if he had to. If the Asura resisted, then so be it. War could follow. Wait, there might still be a turn of events. The goddess of life faltered, sensing a sudden change in the life energy within Chu Chen's body. It was the blending of bloodline power, a resonance between true bloodlines. To think it would be her who saves Chu Chen. The god of destruction breathed. He and the goddess exchanged a look, and the worry that had been etched in their faces evaporated. They both understood. Chu Chen's death knell had been silenced. At the Lake of Life, Silver Dragon King could no longer maintain her composure when she sensed Chu Chen's spirit sea fracturing. In a desperate move, she wrapped Chu Chen in brilliant silver light and plunged him into the Lake of Life. A terrifying force flared and formed an impenetrable barrier. Even Detian would have struggled to break it, and Detian aside, courage would have failed him as well. The Golden Dragon King's divine sense seemed to perceive Silver Dragon King's intention. Using Chu Chen's body as a mouthpiece, it lashed out, roaring, "Silver Dragon King, what are you doing? Do you intend to defy the Dragon God's will?" Silver Dragon King looked at Chu Chen's contorted face with an astonishing calm. "Golden Dragon King," she said, voice steady, "I will not let you have your way." Her delicate form erupted in even more brilliant silver light. Her bloodline power quivered as she drew out Chu Chen's attribute cores. At that same moment, the bloodline powers resonated, the Destruction Ancient Dragon bloodline and the Silver Dragon King's own dragon bloodline, answering one another. "You're trying to use the divine sense within the origin to possess Chu Chen. I can likewise use the Silver Dragon King's power that shares your source to neutralize that power and integrate it into Chu Chen," the Silver Dragon King announced, resolute. A force like a divine anvil shattered Chu Chen's clothing and then swathed both Silver Dragon King and Chu Chen in silver radiance. This was more than protection. It was a blending of bloodline power, an entwinement of two dragon forces, an alchemy resembling sublimation. Slowly, the Golden Dragon King's power was absorbed and transformed by the Silver Dragon King's intervention. Chu Chen's spirit sea, which had been on the verge of collapse, began to mend under the infusion of Silver Dragon King's bloodline power. The Golden Dragon King's origin, instead of invading Chu Chen's soul, settled within the Silver Dragon King's body, bound and integrated by kinship of blood. In doing so, it ceased to be a tool for possession and became part of Silver Dragon King's own strength, a residue that would help her in any future bid to become the Dragon God. Chu Chen's breathing steadied. The trembling in his mind receded. Within the Lake of Life, the silver light glowed like a newborn sun, healing, harmonizing, binding the ragged threads of his spirit sea back together. Outside, the god of destruction and the goddess of life watched in silence, relief and awe replacing their earlier alarm. For a long instant, no one spoke. The Golden Dragon King's furious presence had been neutralized, his final will had been sapped and rechanneled. Chu Chen, cradled in silver light, lay between life and a deeper ascendancy, saved by a dragon whose bloodline shared his enemy's source and who had chosen to turn that shared origin into his salvation. In the Lake of Life, golden and silver lights intertwined and flowed. Within the silver radiance released by the Silver Dragon King, her body and Chu Chen's had been merged so tightly that both had nearly lost themselves. The light swallowed everything, time stilled to an eternal silence, and only vague shadows remained, impossible to discern. What happened to the Lord and Chu Chen? Emerald Swan and ZG peered toward the Lake of Life with concern. They could not probe inside. All they could do was hope both were safe. God Realm. Chu Chen is fine now. With the Silver Dragon King's help, he passed through what should have been a certain death ordeal. The god of destruction exhaled, the fear still lingering in his tone. If it hadn't been for her, even if my true body had descended to the Douluo continent, I don't know if I could have saved him. Otherwise, I might have had to personally go after the food god and the nine-colored goddess. That would have been far more difficult than simply resurrecting one person, the goddess of life murmured. She sighed with feeling. That Silver Dragon King, she went further than anyone would expect. Chu Chen may have gotten a blessing in disguise. Their relationship ought to be solidified now. Perhaps he can, in the future, help the Soul Beast clan break free from their restriction on becoming gods. The god of destruction smiled faintly. An unknown amount of time later, deep in the Lake of Life, Chu Chen's consciousness drifted back to the Sea of Spirit. He opened his eyes slowly. Feeling the soft, sleeping body in his arms, his expression softened. Really, why did you risk your life to save me like this? He murmured. He stared down at the Silver Dragon King's delicate, beautiful face as she slept and was slightly dazed. Thank you, Guyue. He hugged her tighter. The warmth calmed him. His awareness sank back into the Sea of Spirit. There he saw the Tianmeng iceworm, who seemed to be waking up as well. At the sight of Chu Chen, it bawled, tears and snot flying. Chu Chen, I thought you were dead. Chu Chen sighed. Tianmeng, it was Guyue who saved us. I felt something. She merged with you and allowed the Golden Dragon King's origin to integrate into both your bodies, the iceworm said. You obtained the 9th spirit ring, and she absorbed the Golden Dragon King origin, 2 birds with 1 stone. The Tianmeng iceworm grinned mischievously. But Chu Chen, you're in big trouble now. If those vicious beasts find out you did, that to the co-lord of spirit beasts, I'm afraid. Chu Chen froze. Did you see it? No, the iceworm replied truthfully. Her power blocked my perception. I only saw a blurry silver light. It had already seen Chu Chen pick up the destruction dragon spear. Otherwise, it might have been even more shocked. When Chu Chen's consciousness returned to the waking world, the Silver Dragon King stirred. Her eyes opened and met his, a little embarrassed. Why are you looking at me? She asked. Chu Chen didn't answer. Under her increasingly flustered gaze, he leaned in and kissed her, holding her all the tighter. Boom. At that moment, the barrier the Silver Dragon King had erected shattered. A terrifying aura roared into the sky as Chu Chen's cultivation suddenly leapt to the 95th level realm. Below him, his spirit rings flashed. 4 red, 2 orange gold, 1 platinum, and 1 gold. He now possessed the 9th spirit ring. The golden 9th ring shimmered with multicolored light. When Chu Chen raised his hand, the destruction ancient dragon spirit unfurled behind him. He had finally reached the highest ranks of spirit masters. Titled Douluo, clad in white, he hovered like a banished immortal. So this is the power of a titled Douluo, he whispered. As he lifted his hand, the space before him seemed to freeze. He felt his body like a bronze furnace, 3 brilliant lights within condensing into extreme attribute voids that spun at incredible speed, channeling the power of space. Thanks to Guyue, he thought. During the merge, she helped me condense the 3rd soul core, space. Now Chu Chen could command space itself, freezing it, shattering it, making it obey his will. Lord, he has entered a whole new realm. Why did he change his clothes? Xiaogang blurted. The Silver Dragon King was speechless. Emerald Swan was too. Didn't Xiaogang notice that her clothes had changed as well? Xiaogang, let's go, the king of 10,000 demons said. For what? Xiaogang asked in puzzlement. I'll take you to catch some fish to eat and nourish your brain, the king replied. Everyone was silent. Detian tore through space and arrived, drawn by the terrifying aura of a newly titled Douluo. Seeing Chu Chen's presence, he couldn't help but sigh. Even I might not be his match now. He stepped to the Silver Dragon King's side and suddenly realized something else. The bloodline in her veins had become purer. The pressure radiating from her had now exceeded that of the Silver Dragon King. It was the Dragon God bloodline. "Lord, your bloodline," he began. The Silver Dragon King nodded. "Thanks to Chu Chen, I merged with the Golden Dragon King's origin. The bloodline within me, with a little more time, it can evolve into the true Dragon God bloodline. When that happens, I will naturally become the new Dragon God." DTN felt like weeping with joy. "I didn't waste my investment in Chu Chen back then." Chu Chen lowered his aura and landed beside the Silver Dragon King. They exchanged smiles. Only then did he notice DTN nearby. DTN, why are you here?" DTN snorted inwardly. Chu Chen laughed, and after a brief catching up with DTN, Emerald Swan, and the others, he returned to the side of the Blue-Silver Emperor's spirit. Now that his strength had risen dramatically, if he ever encountered Bibi Dong again, defeating her wouldn't be so difficult. It was time to understand the Blue-Silver Emperor's spirit more deeply. Perhaps, after succeeding, that spirit too would step into the titled Douluo realm. Then, he could charge towards that true divine realm, God realm. "This kid is truly blessed," the god of destruction admitted. "But this time, I did overlook some things. I'll make it up to him next time," he added with a chuckle. He noticed the goddess of life's expression had grown strangely composed. "What is it, little green?" he asked. She only chuckled and said, "He is indeed blessed. Perhaps a new little life is about to be born." The god of destruction spit out a breath and stared at the goddess of life in utter shock, his face an extraordinary color. The god of destruction's stunned look lasted a long time. At last he exhaled slowly, voice heavy with a strange mix of awe and ruefulness. "This kid really has good fortune. You and I have been husband and wife for so many years and never managed to have an offspring," he went on, half laughing, half crying. "But this kid beat me to it." The goddess of life smiled softly. She rose and, with the purest authority over the origin of life, condensed a wisp of green gold blessing. "Little green, what are you doing?" the god of destruction blurted, startled. "I want to give this child the best," the goddess said quietly. "Even if that child isn't fully formed yet, I will still protect him." Her eyes rippled as she gathered the purest life blessing, her source power, the pure origin of life. If an unborn life received such a blessing now, after birth, he would be extraordinarily powerful. "If my power were suited to it," she murmured, "I would continue to bestow blessings." Meanwhile, at the Stardew Great Forest, by the Lake of Life, Gu Yuana stood watching Chu Chen, who sat cross-legged, perceiving the origin of life. For some reason, she felt a subtle change in herself, hard to describe, just a slight shift in her body and spirit. Boom! A green-gold light descended from the sky and completely enveloped Gu Yuana. Ditian and other vicious beasts snapped to alarm and appeared nearby. "That aura, it's from the God realm. What's happening?" Ditian said in a low voice. Did the God realm intend to attack the Silver Dragon King? But this power carried no killing intent at all. Gu Yuana felt the warmth of the light. It opened a gentle, green-gold space in her consciousness. There, she saw the figure of the goddess of life. Recognition brought both vigilance and puzzlement. "Goddess of life?" she asked. The goddess nodded and stepped forward with a gentle expression. "Hello, Silver Dragon King, or Gu Yue, if you prefer, like Chu Chen does." "You've come for Chu Chen, haven't you?" Gu Yuana didn't trust the God Kings, but because of her connection to Chu Chen, she could speak calmly with the goddess of life. If the Asura god had appeared, they probably would have been fighting right away. Gu Yuana could hardly have imagined that in another future, she would herself have a great destiny tied to the title of Goddess of Life. "I'm here for him," Gu Yuana answered. The goddess's gaze fell to Gu Yuana's lower abdomen. Gu Yuana's face froze, then slowly flooded with panic and incredulity. Despite her outward poise, she suddenly looked like a young, bewildered woman. That can't be. You're lying, right?" she blurted, helpless. "No," the goddess said gently. "A new life is being nurtured there. I have come to bestow the purest life blessing, so this child may grow up healthy." The green-gold light was overwhelmingly warm. It poured into Gu Yuana's lower abdomen like a sky full of starlight. Gu Yuana's expression shifted from astonishment to a fragile joy. The goddess of life reached out and stroked Gu Yuana's belly, smiling. "Congratulations, Gu Yue. Destruction and I will help Chu Chen. After he becomes a god, the Soul Beast clan may also escape their current fate and attain godhood. Thank you for saving Chu Chen. Guyana suddenly grew serious. She raised her eyes. Please, don't tell him yet. Not telling him? The goddess of life asked. Why? He's already a titled Douluo, Guyana said softly, but he still has a long way to go before he reaches the realm of godhood. There are trials ahead. I don't want this bond to make him cling to me or stop him from pressing forward. When the time is right, I'll give him the surprise. When the green-gold light finally faded, Guyana stepped out into the open. She looked the same outwardly, but her expression was far gentler. She kept gazing at her stomach, lost in thought. Lord, was that the god realm just now? Ditian asked, tense. Are those beasts about to attack us? No, Guyana said, shaking her head. She signaled Ditian and the others to withdraw. Only the Emerald Swan, sensitive to all soul beast life, hesitated. Lord, Emerald Swan stepped forward, eyes wide with the understanding she didn't need words to express. Guyana didn't intend to hide what had happened from her. She needed someone she could confide in, and Emerald Swan was the right one. Besides, Emerald Swan would have sensed the truth anyway. She had an affinity for soul beast life, and wasn't this child to inherit the Soul Beast clan's bloodline? Oh my. Emerald Swan gasped. It all felt too dreamlike. She thought of calling Chu Chen at once, my lord. Inside Chu Chen, oblivious to the events outside, the life blossom, golden and radiant, suddenly took root and sprouted within his spiritual sea. The origin life surged and dazzled, spreading to surround his inner world. The ultimate life path within his body flashed as Chu Chen's life path pushed toward its highest realm. The life blossom, Tianmeng Iceworm cried out in shock. If that blossom truly took root in Chu Chen's spiritual sea and was refined into an origin seed, then the ultimate life that Chu Chen held could complete its transformation. He would possess the life authority of the entire Douluo continent. This is the life blossom. Another voice whispered in awe. I've finally touched the final path of life. Chu Chen opened his eyes. Green-gold light swelled like a starlit sky and bathed him. A perfect and flawless life sprout took root in his spiritual sea. The origin seed's power condensed into green-gold radiance and formed the final, 9th spirit ring around Chu Chen's body. An unprecedented green-gold 9th spirit ring. Chapter 226. Bibi Dong achieves the Rakshasa body and issues a challenge. Inside the Stardew Great Forest, countless blue-silver emperors sprouted and grew wildly, their green tendrils spreading until they covered the whole forest. It wasn't limited to that alone. The terrifying aura of the blue-silver emperor emanating from Chu Chen transformed into an invisible torrent of life that swept across the entire Douluo continent. Blue-silver grass unfurled over mountains and plains alike. A tremendously majestic power of faith condensed and truly merged into Chu Chen's body in that instant. It was the power of faith, the accumulated faith of the blue-silver grass across the continent. After my path of life reached its final realm, it actually condensed the power of faith within me, Chu Chen said, excitement breaking through his voice. His blue-silver emperor spirit had reached rank 96, and both of his spirits officially entered the titled Douluo realm. This power of faith was still faint for now, but it opened a new possibility, condensing that power of faith to attain a god position. He had no need to create a god position from nothing. Two god kings, the god of destruction and the goddess of life, had positions waiting for him. But what if he used his own power of faith to ascend to the god realm? I seem to see a brand new path, he murmured to himself. But rank 96 is still too weak. I must become stronger. Chu Chen had, at this moment, the power of faith of every blue-silver grass on the continent and the faith of the thousands of dragon souls in the Dragon Valley Plain. If this path truly worked, he inhaled deeply, his face alight with shock and resolve. He understood what such a decision meant. He was stepping onto a road few, perhaps none, had ever dared consider. He had thought it, and he would try. Destruction and life are ultimately one path. In his mind, the goddess of life's voice sounded again, and this time her figure appeared within his spiritual core. Chu Chen, congratulations, she said. You have completed the Life God King's 8th trial. All your godly years have increased by 50,000, and your God King affinity has risen to 99%. Chu Chen bowed slightly. Senior, so that means there should only be one last trial left for my Life God King assessment. The goddess of life's face wore its usual gentle smile. She nodded. Your final trial will be triggered simultaneously when you reach the 9th trial of the God of Destruction's assessment. I see. Only then did Chu Chen remember that his God of Destruction assessment was only at the 5th trial. To reach the 9th trial, he still had 3 more trials to pass. He hesitated a moment, then asked tentatively, impatience flickering over his features. He desperately wanted to know whether the path he had pictured could truly be realized. I want to attempt a fusion of the paths of life and destruction to walk a brand new way. May I? If you have an idea in your heart, try it boldly, the goddess of life interrupted, her voice full of warmth. I believe in you. Her figure faded, and Chu Chen's consciousness returned. He descended from above the lake of life and moved to Silver Dragon King's side. Since learning the truth, Silver Dragon King had suddenly seemed unsure how to face him. Emerald Swan had already led Di Tian and the others away. It would be inconsiderate for them to linger any longer. What's wrong with Gu Yu? Chu Chen asked softly. Congratulations on both your spirits entering the titled Douluo realm, Silver Dragon King said, taking his hand with a light laugh that carried more melancholy than joy. I'm going into seclusion for a while. Seclusion? But your injuries should be healed by now. Is there something else wrong with your body? Chu Chen reached to condense his blue-silver emperor spirit to examine her, but Silver Dragon King quickly withdrew her hand. It's nothing simple. I've obtained the Golden Dragon King's origin, and I must go into seclusion to let my bloodline fully evolve into the Dragon God bloodline. I can't delay it any longer. Her expression had gone serious. She needed to refine the Golden Dragon King's origin swiftly, not for herself, but for the child she carried. She worried that the origin's violent nature might harm the fragile life inside her, even though the protective rituals had almost ruled that out. I understand, Chu Chen said, nodding. After a brief, awkward pause, he added, apologetically, I may not be able to stay here with you. The Rakshasa god and Bibi Dong matter isn't settled, Tang isn't truly gone, and the Douluo continent still needs unifying. Silver Dragon King smiled. It just so happens I need some seclusion too. If you need help, tell me. Chu Chen gathered her into his arms and held her long, reluctant to let go. Then a killing aura pierced the air, cold, merciless, and filled with a most terrible evil. It was the aura of the Rakshasa god. Chu Chen noticed that Silver Dragon King showed no reaction. He knew clearly this was Bibi Dong issuing a challenge. Her power seemed to have grown even more fearsome. On the Douluo continent plane, her strength now approached divinity. Reluctantly, Chu Chen left the Star Do Great Forest. He turned into a streak of light, tearing through space toward the source of that Rakshasa aura. Bibi Dong, I'm coming. He arrived in a valley thick with dark, malignant energy. Twisted black trees covered the slopes, each exuding a strange, oppressive aura. In the valley's deepest hollow, a strange web bound a blackish-purple cocoon. As Bibi Dong stepped out, her body was covered with rune-like markings that made the very air hum and vibrate. Chu Chen, have you come to meet your death? She asked calmly. Her power was now unbelievably fearsome, suffused with the ultimate Rakshasa power. Behind her, a hideous blackish-purple figure condensed, the phantom descent of the Rakshasa god. Bibi Dong's killing intent locked the space down and transformed into the Rakshasa domain, closing in to envelop Chen. Chapter 227, Clash of Divine Skills. Golden Dragon suppresses Kangshuan, Chu Chen's terrifying strength. Bibi Dong unleashed the Rakshasa power, sealing off the space. Countless 20s wove an evil web in the air, a malignant lattice that seemed to silence heaven and earth. The Rakshasa power formed its own realm around Chu Chen. Within it, Bibi Dong's body was sheathed in strange black-purple armor, perhaps a divine outfit like the angel gods or sea gods. Have you achieved the Rakshasa body? Chu Chen watched her coolly. A wisp of blue-gold light bloomed in that black-purple void as Chu Chen released his 22s, 8 red, 1 green gold, the current configuration of his blue-silver emperor. The blue-silver emperor quietly manifested. The blue-silver domain and the Great Desolation scripture completed their fusion and were unleashed together. Bibi Dong, today I will shake that Rakshasa body you pride yourself on. Chu Chen spread his palm. In its center, the blue-silver emperor seemed to blossom, and a green-gold seed of life budded within it. Rakshasa, tear the heavens and earth, Bibi Dong charged. At this moment, she no longer felt like Bibi Dong at all. It was the Rakshasa god inhabiting her shell, her eyes black-purple. The Rakshasa demonic scythe slashed toward Chu Chen with a force that could rend sky and earth. Chu Chen condensed a sword made of blue-silver light. The blue-gold blade whistled, and their attacks met. The collision knocked Chu Chen back a distance. "Chu Chen, how arrogant!" Bibi Dong roared. Seeing him employ only the blue-silver emperor enraged her and drove her offense fiercer. From the first strike, both sides inevitably bled. Wounds opened on their arms as their point condensed to the extreme, each wisp of aura like a sharp blade. The wound on Chu Chen's arm healed instantly. Behind him, the blue-silver true body descended. A blazing golden light burst from his chest until it looked almost transparent. Bibi Dong could even see his beating heart, except now the heart shone completely golden. Eighth spirit ability, life collapse. Calmly, Chu Chen unleashed his eighth spirit ability. Space collapsed layer by layer, and the authority of life in his hand detonated. A low humming, almost like tinnitus, filled the void. Instead of a single terrifying explosion, the space before them folded and was swallowed by the power of space itself. Rakshasa hell! Bibi Dong swung the demonic scythe with both hands, ripping the space open. The blow was akin to her abyssal space-severing slash, only far more terrifying, carrying a devastating, boundless force that surged toward Chu Chen. After the shockwave, Chu Chen took the initiative. He still condensed the ultimate authority of life, but what appeared behind him was no longer the blue-silver emperor. It was in 6 radiating, blazing golden light. The lifeblood of countless beings seemed to intertwine within the ancient tree's form. Seed of life. In Chu Chen's sea of consciousness, the seed sprouted into a seedling, and the phantom of the 6 on his back radiated green-gold light down upon him. The 9th green-gold 22 at Chu Chen's feet flared. 9th spirit ability, wither and flourish in a thought. He unleashed his 9th spirit ability. An ultimate phenomenon evolved behind him. At a single thought, all living things withered and flourished. It carried the power of reincarnation. The 6 vibrated, releasing Chu Chen's 19 to its limit. He became a streak of light, a strike imbued with the withering and flourishing power of all life, an immortal authority of life. Combined with Chu Chen's strongest blow, it smashed toward Bibi Dong. Divine rank, 10,000 evils filling the heavens. Bibi Dong answered with a divine skill only a divinity could wield. Chu Chen knew then for certain she was controlled by the Rakshasa god. She might not be a true divinity herself yet, but her power was already comparable to one, the difference between 99.9 and 100. Bibi Dong poured everything skyward. The heavens and the earth trembled, and a keening like vengeful ghosts filled the air. The source was a hideous black-purple skeleton, countless silhouettes emerging to shroud heaven and earth, aiming to suppress Chu Chen's power and annihilate him. Green, gold, and black-purple lights clashed and lingered, refusing to dissipate. Both combatants were forced to retreat, exhausted. Chu Chen was smeared with blood, but his aura remained unbowed. Blood dribbled from the corner of Bibi Dong's mouth as well. "Impossible. You're only a titled Douluo. How can you match a divinity?" Her voice warped with hatred. "You are not yet a true divinity," Chu Chen said coolly. "Face reality, Bibi Dong." A dragon's roar erupted from within him. The destruction ancient dragon tore through space and coiled behind him, its dark gold claws gleaming even in the grim void. Chu Chen spread his arms. The blue-silver emperor and the golden ancient tree bloomed, and the destruction dragon spirit circled. 18, 22 flared in unison. He released both of his great spirits simultaneously, the 2 martial soul avatars fully catalyzed into a single overwhelming assault. He drove his 3rd core, the power of space, his 27, and shattered the surrounding space. From the rupture emerged the destruction dragon spear and the scepter of destruction, radiating waves of annihilation. 9th spirit ability. Golden dragon suppresses the firmament. Chu Chen clenched his fist. This was a true divine skill, born of the 22 bestowed by the Golden Dragon King, that 22 could be considered divine rank. The power of space surged. Using teleportation, Chu Chen appeared before Bibi Dong, formed a fist seal at the speed of light, and struck. With that single punch, the golden dragon descended, a force capable of pressing all things into submission. It looked deceptively simple, but within that simplicity was the Tao, the great way laid bare. And it was that ordinary-seeming blow that made Bibi Dong truly taste death. With a boom, a pair of black-red pupils condensed in the sky, hideous irises that scoured the scene hungrily before locking onto Chu Chen. Divine skill, calamity-cursed destruction. The strike shattered the independent space Bibi Dong had summoned, releasing an incomparable, terrifying Aten that, in an instant, closed in on her. Chu Chen unleashed a punch that shredded the air, a blazing heavenly light smashing toward the hideous black and purple pupil Bibi Dong had released. This was a duel of divine skills. Fate could be decided in an instant. "Break for me," Chu Chen roared. His blow carried the roaring silhouette of the Golden Dragon King, violent and domineering, inheriting the terror of that ancient might. For a heartbeat, the world seemed to pause. The black-red pupil exploded under his strike, and Bibi Dong suffered backlash. Her power faltered, unstable. She forced herself to endure it. The Rakshasa demonic scythe already rested against Chu Chen's neck, intent on decapitating him, but a layer of golden light surfaced over his body. "Paragon Golden Body," he shouted. Although the Paragon Golden Body only nullified attacks below true divinity, Bibi Dong was not a genuine divine being, despite her use of divine techniques. She could not shatter the ultimate defense. Chu Chen seized the chance. His ninth multicolored golden spirit crest bloomed as the phantom of the Golden Dragon King manifested again. Ninth spirit ability, 10,000 Dragon's Bow. Behind him, countless dragon souls surged into being, condensing the purest power of faith. Thousands of dragon spirits compressed into a single, enormous strike as Chu Chen charged. The two of them became colliding beams of light. The valley had already been reduced to rubble. Every trap Bibi Dong had laid, every sigil woven through the world, and all the overflowing Rakshasa power failed to finish Chu Chen. Instead, his two ninth spirit abilities pressed the advantage. Bibi Dong felt real pressure for the first time. Could his ninth spirit ability come from a divine crest? She snarled, furious. She swung the Rakshasa demonic scythe. A dark purple blade hundreds of meters long sliced toward him. Chu Chen met it with the Destruction Dragon Spear. Cracks ran through space. A filigree of cold Rakshasa power slipped through the fracture and stabbed into Chu Chen, piercing him clean through. Golden blood sprayed into the air. His pupils tightened. Bibi Dong's strike had been uncanny, cloaking that Rakshasa thread inside the seam of space with something like a divine aura. "Chu Chen, it's over," Bibi Dong cried, and then she slashed again. Chu Chen stabilized his posture, using the Destruction Dragon Spear to parry the scythe, then gathered his golden light into a fist and struck. The collision was raw, absolute power. Bibi Dong could no longer match him. Not now, not against a Chu Chen whose divine mark was already brushing the divine realm. Destiny Judgment. A column of judgmental light blasted at Bibi Dong. She'd been struck by it before. This time she recoiled while pulling the Rakshasa demonic scythe back into her grip. "Rakshasa domain," she answered. The world twisted. Chu Chen was dragged into the Rakshasa god's exclusive evil space, a realm full of malignant pupils. Within it, Bibi Dong's strength would be terrifyingly amplified. "Destruction realm," Chu Chen responded. "Court of life." He called at the same moment. He showed no weakness. With his newfound power, he could open the same exclusive spaces as Bibi Dong. The two divine artifact domains tore through the heavens, colliding with the Rakshasa domain. The sky fractured into three layers. Chu Chen's two domains, life and destruction, fused into one, blending to produce an even purer origin power. Four divine artifacts hovered around him: the Destruction Dragon Spear, and Artifact Zero, and the two super divine artifacts representing the God of Destruction and the Goddess of Life, the Scepter of Destruction and Artifact 6. Under a galaxy-like blaze of light, the shadows of the four artifacts blurred, then gradually coalesced into a single brand-new dragon spear that materialized in Chu Chen's hand. He raised it and spun it with a roar. "Is this Guyue's bloodline power?" he thought, stunned. A sudden recognition struck him. When the Silver Dragon King had helped him fuse the Golden Dragon King's origin, the origins had merged. That fusion had left traces of the Silver Dragon King's bloodline inside Chu Chen as well. As Chu Chen gripped the new super divine artifact, the three soul cores within his body began to fuse. The process centered on his third spatial soul core, which collapsed into a void black hole inside him and linked the first and second soul cores, the ones in his heart and Dantian. The two cores blended, forming a more terrifying, unified existence. Chu Chen felt himself step into a brand new divine mark. Within a single thought, he perceived the destruction and rebirth of all things. Life and destruction can indeed produce a true divine state, he breathed. Even the first taste of that realm thrilled him. With the new dragon spear born of that divine state, the God King's domains behind him alternated, unleashing life and destruction to their extremes. What kind of divine artifact is that? Someone muttered in disbelief. Can his divine positions actually fuse? That's impossible. Bibi Dong's voice cracked with suppressed madness as she hurled herself at him. Her form flickered through the ruptured space. The Rakshasa demonic scythe dripped ultimate malice as a cold, murderous aura slammed straight at Chu Chen. The phantom of the Rakshasa god appeared and condensed a beam of light to lock onto him. Boom! The world collapsed into blinding daylight. Everything else dissipated. Only two figures fell from the sky, Bibi Dong and Chu Chen. Chu Chen condensed spatial force to steady himself midair. When he looked at Bibi Dong, she looked utterly ruined, her body lacerated by horrifying wounds, barely clinging to the scythe. Bibi Dong! Killing intent flared in Chu Chen's eyes as he teleported closer and closer. Chu Chen, you've been fooled, Bibi Dong cried, a streak of madness in her gaze. A sphere of Rakshasa divine force, long condensed and now compressed to its utmost, locked onto Chu Chen and drove straight through his chest, but at the same time, Chu Chen had thrust his spear, pinning Bibi Dong to the ground. Coughing blood, Chu Chen clutched his chest. His blood poured free, but the Artifact 6 sprouted energy and rapidly healed his wounds. Seeing the battle lost, Bibi Dong sank to the ground in despair. Her life force drained away. The Rakshasa god's power slipped from her. Her spirit teetered on breaking, and her realm regressed back to rank 89. The moment I fused destruction and life, Chu Chen said calmly, you were already destined to lose. Chapter 229, The Blade of Destruction at the Angel's Throat. Bibi Dong lay on the ground, smiling a sorrowful, defeated smile. The Rakshasa god's aura had dissipated. She had truly lost the right to inherit the Rakshasa god position. In this lifetime, she would never break through to a titled Douluo. Chu Chen, you win, she said weakly. Then kill me, Bibi Dong answered, despair in her voice. She no longer wanted to resist. In this moment, she felt like the original Bibi Dong again, the Bibi Dong who had not been twisted by Qianshunji's persecutions. I could kill you, Chu Chen replied coolly, but who told you you're Xiaoshui's mother? In a black-purple, malignant space, the Rakshasa god's eyes went cold as she condensed a terrifying wave of her power at her fingertips. She meant to end Bibi Dong then and there. Worthless, she spat. You've already cultivated into the Rakshasa body and you still failed. There's no point keeping you alive. She was about to unleash the killing blow when the space before her solidified. A figure quietly took shape, and the Rakshasa god froze in horror. It was the god of destruction again. Because of Chu Chen, the god of destruction had come to torment her over and over. Even the god of destruction wants to stop me from killing Bibi Dong, the Rakshasa god raged. Why? She was frantic. With the god of destruction watching her, she had no way to finish Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong gave a bitter laugh. Because of Xiaoshui, the words tasted like regret. Memories surged of a little Qian Renshui longing for her care while Bibi Dong had met her with only cold eyes. Guilt and sorrow overwhelmed her unexpectedly. I'm sorry to Xiaoshui, but I really can't accept her existence. You wouldn't understand. Chu Chen watched her calmly. The blue-silver Emperor spirit quietly unfurled, and its ultimate life aura flowed over Bibi Dong, soothing the agitated chaos in her heart. Qianshunji violated you. You have every reason to hate Qian Renshui, he said. That's human. But you are both bound by love and hate, he added. That kind of entanglement is just mutual torment. Bibi Dong stood stunned, unsure how Chu Chen could speak so plainly of the past. Yet when the past was named so calmly, she felt strangely released. Perhaps clinging to it was pointless. It had all passed. Although I don't understand maternal attachment to a child, Chu Chen continued, I can understand how complicated a mother's feelings are when confronted with such things. But Bibi Dong, he said finally, you still can't wash away your sins. He had not intended to kill her. Had he wanted to, Bibi Dong would have been ashes under his last strike. If he had no ties to Qian Renshui, things would be different, but they did have a deep connection. To simply kill Bibi Dong would have been improper. Bibi Dong only felt dizzy and longed for sleep. Then a soft embrace drew her in. A familiar aura surrounded her. Qian Renshui was there. Bibi Dong didn't know when she'd arrived. Qian Renshui looked up at Chu Chen gratefully. Chu Chen smiled, turned, and left them a private space. High above, Qian Douluo and Chu Chen stood side by side. On this matter, I share the blame, Qian Douluo said decisively. I won't make excuses. My Qian family failed her, but things have come to this point. Chu Chen said nothing. He was not interested in excuses. If not for Qian Renshui, he would have killed Bibi Dong outright rather than spare her life. Bibi Dong lived well now, but what of the lives she had destroyed? Did those not count? Screw it. Chu Chen waved his hand and prepared to leave, then stopped. He turned and asked Qian Douluo, how far has Xiaoshui's angel god trial progressed? The 9th trial is about to begin, Qian Douluo replied, pride in his voice. He saw the angel gods return on the horizon. The angel lineage would not be cut off. Everything he had done mattered. So that means you're about to sacrifice yourself then? Chu Chen asked. Qian Daolu's pupils tightened. He hurried. Don't tell Xiaoshui about this. Chu Chen looked at him for a long beat, then swept a spatial current that dissolved between heaven and earth and left. In the Sea of Spirit, Chu Chen appeared before the life seedling and asked tentatively, Senior Goddess of Life? What is it, Chu Chen? A gentle voice answered. It's about the angel god's legacy. Before he could finish, the Goddess of Life smiled. Don't worry, little Z has already set off, so you don't need to worry. Set off? Where did he go? Chu Chen asked, puzzled. To have a friendly exchange with the current angel god. In the god realm, a palace of sacred golden light housed the angel god, whose graceful posture had tightened into an almost stiff stillness. She dared not move. God of destruction, let's talk nicely, she said, her voice quivering with the hint of a sob. Who would come to her palace brandishing a super-divine artifact at her throat the moment they met? She, the angel god, had never imagined such an affront. The god of destruction's destructive aura condensed at the angel god's alabaster throat. I heard your legacy requires sacrificing the high priest, he said. That is the rule, the angel god answered stubbornly. Then change the rule, the god of destruction said indifferently. The one you're about to sacrifice is the grandfather of my successor's lover, someone connected to me. You understand what I mean. The angel god stared. What did that have to do with him? But the god's cold hand pressed the point. Change it or not, he prompted. Aye, she faltered. Change it or not. Change, she squeaked, nearly in tears. In the end, she relented and directly amended the rules of the inherited divinity. She forced down her sobbing and looked at him. I have transferred the god position directly now. Is that acceptable? The god of destruction gave a satisfied smile. Not bad. Next time you come to the God Realm Committee, bring some spirit stones or something to make up for it. With that, he left at a leisurely pace, leaving the angel gods stunned and not easily calmed. Chapter 230. The God of Destruction's 7th trial descends, killing Tang San. Douluo Continent, Heaven Do City. When Chu Chen descended on Heaven Do City again, he found it transformed. At a glance, the citizens seemed never to have suffered war. It was as if they had always enjoyed this peaceful life. It seems Old Poison and the others have managed this place very well, Chu Chen said with a smile. He arrived at the academy in an instant and saw Ye Lingling and Chewer guiding students through cultivation. They hadn't noticed him. Only when the lesson ended did Ye Lingling spot Chu Chen watching with a smile from the side. Joy flooded her face, and she rushed forward to embrace him. I'm back, Chu Chen said gently. It's good to see you well. Ye Lingling wept with relief. Chewer stepped forward too. Chu Chen took their hands and then found Dugu Bo at the academy. Dugu Bo and Yu Yuanzhen were together, deep in conversation. Chu Chen, ha! You're back, Dugu Bo exclaimed. What realm is your strength at now? Why can't I see through you at all? Dugubo stared at him in astonishment. Although he suspected Chu Chen had reached the title Douluo level, he couldn't discern his true power. 96, Chu Chen replied with a smile. Good lad, your cultivation speed is terrifying. Hurry and tell me what happened while I was away. Dugubo leaned in, intrigued. Chu Chen briefly recounted his recent experiences, how he absorbed the origin of the Golden Dragon King, and how he comprehended the two, carefully omitting many specific details. So, both of those ninth spirit rings of yours are terrifying divine rank 29s, Dugubo said in awe, slapping his thigh. Truly amazing. Haha, but now that you're back, I suppose you can't stay a hands-off manager of Heaven Do City, right? Dugubo added. Chu Chen's expression turned serious. Old Poison, the spirit empire Bibi Dong established, caused losses to the Heaven Do Empire, and the Star Luo Empire was nearly wiped out. Now that the Douluo continent is on the mend, I want to take this opportunity to truly unify the continent, create a genuine integration with a supreme administrative layer governing down through the levels. He stated his plan plainly, to complete the unification of the Douluo continent. After that, he hoped to pursue the realm of divinity in earnest. I will certainly support you. Give me a position in that supreme management layer too, Dugubo laughed. Chu Chen smiled. For now, my plan is to reach a consensus with Xiao Shui to integrate the Heaven Do Empire and the Spirit Hall first, preserving the Spirit Hall legacy and keeping it as a sect. However, those who committed past evils must also pay the price. A few days later in the Elder Hall, several figures gathered: Chu Chen, Dugubo, Qian Renshui, Qian Daoliu, and even Di Tian. Di Tian had come at Chu Chen's invitation, representing the Soul Beast clan. The Soul Beast clan would not be part of the forces Chu Chen intended to unify. They would retain their current status. What worried Chu Chen most was the fact that humans still needed to hunt spirit beasts to grow stronger. Any objections? Chu Chen asked. This old man has none, Dugubo was first to reply. Qian Renshui and Qian Daoliu could only agree in the end. Chu Chen now stood at such a height that continental unification had become a foregone conclusion. Even disagreement would change nothing. It's just that managing such a behemoth will take enormous effort, Qian Renshui sighed. She couldn't imagine the power required to administer a unified Douluo continent. Strict laws would be necessary, an extremely cumbersome task. Wait until everything is ready before carrying out the unification. As for the Star Luo Empire, if they won't join willingly, we'll conquer them by force, Chu Chen said decisively. He hoped for a peaceful resolution, but the Star Luo Empire's imperial mindset was deeply entrenched. Who knew what they would choose? By the way, Chu Chen added, lowering his voice and sending it only to Qian Daoliu, the god of destruction told me he has already contacted the angel god. The angel god legacy no longer requires the high priest's sacrificial life to open. Qian Daoliu was stunned, then wild joy spread across his face. He had feared his sacrifice was necessary. He hadn't expected Chu Chen's connection to make it unnecessary. Thank you, Chu Chen, Qian Daoliu transmitted back in private. Outside the Elder Hall, Chu Chen walked with Di Tian. He asked about Gu Yo, the Silver Dragon King. Di Tian smiled and shook his head, signaling that Chu Chen should rest easy. Don't worry, the master is in seclusion, trying to fully fuse the dragon god bloodline. It shouldn't be long before she succeeds. By then, her strength may even reach the divine rank. As they spoke, Chu Chen suddenly sensed a very familiar aura sweep through the air. Though distant, it registered sharply with him. In his mind, the god of destruction's voice sounded. Chu Chen, your sixth trial of the god of destruction has descended. Kill Tang-san. As expected, Chu Chen murmured to Di Tian, I have to go deal with someone. You should return to the Stardo Great Forest first. If Guye finishes her seclusion, tell her I'm well. With that, he activated the 27 in his body. In an instant, he shot 10,000 meters into the sky, unfolded his ice god dragon wings, and vanished. Di Tian hesitated, but thinking of Chu Chen's terrifying strength, even he could not defeat him, he let him go. Above the sea where Sea God Island had once stood, Chu Chen landed. He sensed Tang San's aura nearby, released his 14, and instantly locked onto Tang San's position in space. Tang San, come out, he called. We're from the same village. No need to hide so much when we talk, Chu Chen added with a smile. With that one sentence, he flushed Tang San's defenses out. Tang San watched Chu Chen with a sinister expression, his eyes filled with cold, killing intent. Two kinds of light swirled behind him, the auras of the Asura god and the sea god, condensed together. He shouldn't have truly stepped into the realm of divinity yet, Chu Chen murmured, but his overall strength is actually a bit stronger than Bibi Dong's. Chu Chen had keenly judged Tang San's current level. It seemed Tang San was only a single step away from becoming a god. That step, however, was not easily taken. Tang San was revealing himself now to kill Chu Chen. "Chu Chen, I will kill you today," Tang San roared. The sea god trident condensed in his hand, shining with a holy golden light. The ocean below surged and churned. This was the sea god's home field. Though Chu Chen had once shattered the sea god trident, someone with the sea god's might could condense another without much trouble. 13 golden halberds, first form, boundless sea, limitless waves. Tang San swung the trident. The blue-gold wave of boundless sea, limitless waves ripped through space as it streaked toward Chu Chen. Just as it was about to strike, Chu Chen slipped into a state of permanent void. The space around him fractured and warped. Boundless sea, limitless waves has a high hit rate, but it can't lock onto someone in the void, Chu Chen said with a faint smile, and the destruction dragon spear appeared in his hand. Two terrifying auras clashed high in the sky. Behind Tang San, blue gold and black-red lights flowed, and illusory shadows of the sea god and the Asura god manifested at the same time. Seeing that the wave had missed, Tang San reacted instantly, gripped the sea god trident, and launched himself forward to clash with Chu Chen. Each collision sent the sea into violent fury. Seawater shot skyward like a roaring beast, swallowing everything in its wake. Two streaks of light braided and smashed into one another. First, spirit ability, blue-silver binding. Tang San released his signature skill. But Chu Chen noticed something strange about Tang San's blue-silver grass. It seemed different from before. Tang San's blue-silver grass now bloomed with a blue-gold radiance. Not the blue-gold of the blue-silver emperor, but blue-silver grass fused with the sea god's power. "Chu Chen, you can't use the blue-silver emperor bloodline to suppress me now," Tang San shouted arrogantly. Chu Chen chuckled. He stopped moving, and a single blue-silver emperor quietly blossomed across the horizon, instantly bathing the sky in pure golden light. It bound Tang San mid-air. Chu Chen's blue-silver emperor had long since fused with the aura of his divine tree, evolving into something even more terrifying. How could mere blue-silver grass, even empowered by the sea god, contend with that? Tang San's blue-silver grass was suppressed once more. Tang San's expression shifted as powerful soul power erupted from his body. His soul strength had actually reached level 99. No wonder he had dared challenge Chu Chen. Seventh spirit ability, blue-silver true body, devouring golden threads. Golden filaments streamed from Tang San, carrying a devouring property. They could siphon the power of the spirit beasts in the ocean below for his use, and they could also devour Chu Chen's soul power. Bolstered by that gain, Tang San flashed before Chu Chen and threw a punch. A streak of bloody light gathered in his hand as the clear sky hammer expanded in the wind, smashing straight at Chu Chen. Chu Chen planted the destruction dragon spear horizontally across his chest and took the hit. The force sent him reeling, but he stabilized himself with the ice god dragon wings. "Chu Chen, die!" Tang San switched spirits. The clear sky hammer flared blood red and exploded to 100 meters in size as it crashed down from the sky, tearing at the very fabric of space. Yet amidst the intense killing intent light, Chu Chen remained unscathed. His body erupted with radiance as 3 soul cores revolved, life, destruction, and space, condensing a monstrous devouring force. The power granted by those 3 cores made Chu Chen's strength far exceed Tang San's. Deploying his spirit art, he fused the blue-silver domain and the Great Desolation scripture together. All life force within a 50,000-meter radius poured into Chu Chen. Bearing that enormous influx of spirit energy, the illusory shadow of a golden, towering ancient tree began to form behind him. That was his current super-divine artifact, the Divine Tree. Ninth spirit ability, one thought of life and death. Chu Chen's words carried the will of judgment. All things withered, revived, and were destroyed in an instant, cycling through rebirth and death. Finally, a curtain of light that veiled heaven and earth descended. The world gave a natural, humming sound. Tang couldn't dodge in time. He unleashed the dual divine powers of the sea god and the Asura god to resist the humming. With a tremendous boom, a brilliant golden light enveloped him. For a heartbeat, the world fell silent. Then a blood-colored, clear sky hammer, thousands of meters in scale, released the slaughter god domain and froze the sea surface below. Tang San's eyes were blood red. His killing intent surged to its peak. Seventh spirit ability, Clear Sky Avatar. As the hammer came down, Chu Chen charged upward with physical force. He cast a magnificent golden fist sign in the air that transformed into a roaring golden dragon. Ninth spirit ability, Golden Dragon Suppressing the Azure Mystery. Bolstered by the extreme might of both the Golden Dragon King and the Destruction Ancient Dragon, Chu Chen's punch transcended the Douluo plane. A single blow could press down the heavens. In the blinding light, there was a thunderous impact. Cracks spidered across the colossal blood-colored clear sky avatar beneath Chu Chen's punch, and then it shattered. Tang San was wounded, but he reacted instantly. Gripping the sea god trident, he closed in and thrust the spear toward Chu Chen's head. Seeing Tang San's formidable momentum, Chu Chen raised his hand, and the destruction dragon spear flared with draconic prestige. At that moment, he noticed Tang San beginning to condense his spirit art. Purple demon eye, purple godlight. Chu Chen had long guessed Tang San's intention. His own spirit art condensed suddenly, transforming into a mental light of judgment suffused with the power of destiny, and he unleashed it at Tang San. Destiny Judgment. It became a duel of extreme spirit arts. Tang San was clearly outmatched. Chu Chen's spiritual attack knocked him back, blood streaming from his 7 orifices. His spirit art is so strong, Tang San thought, alarm flashing through him. He quickly pulled away, channeled his dual divine powers, and prepared to step into the realm of godhood. Chapter 232. The sea god accidentally enters a high-level match. Tang San perishes completely. Just as Tang San was about to step into the divinity realm, he suddenly noticed the light from the 32 core inside Chu Chen, which had been compressed until it finally burst forth completely. What is this? Tang San murmured, puzzled. He didn't know the nature of a 32 core, but he could feel that triggering it had made Chu Chen's power even more terrifying, filling the air with a faint aura of death. Cannot drag this on any longer. Must kill him. The voice of the Asura god rang suddenly in his mind. Blood-red killing intent condensed in Tang San's hands, forming a great black-red sword. Boom! The Asura demon sword took shape. Tang San grasped it while holding the sea god trident and charged at Chu Chen, 2 kinds of light erupting behind him. He slashed with the sword. Chu Chen blocked with the destruction dragon spear. Forced back by Tang San's thrust of the trident, the light of 16 bloomed in Tang San's eyes as his momentum crashed Chu Chen out of the air. Tang San then condensed his 20. Blue-gold radiance gathered on the sea god trident, and he hurled it downward with a thunderous roar. Golden 13 trident, 3rd form, 1 goes and never returns. The trident fell straight down. Boom! Chu Chen lifted his gaze and the ice god dragon wings spread behind him. Tianmeng Iceworm appeared, and a surge of primal origin chi amassed. Watch this, Shield of Life Reflection. Tianmeng Iceworm formed the Shield of Life Reflection, stopping the sea god trident for a moment. Seizing the opening, Chu Chen countered with the Destruction Dragon Spear, cracking the trident. Space rippled, and Chu Chen vanished in a strange, uncanny way. Where is he? Tang San felt alarm ripple through him. Chu Chen's aura had completely vanished. He could not lock onto it at all, not even with the ultimate perception of the purple demon eye. He had no idea where Chu Chen's presence had gone. Pfft! Suddenly, Chu Chen's fist struck Tang San's chest. Blood spattered, and Tang San convulsed from excruciating pain. Red-eyed, he glared at Chu Chen with murderous intent. Chu Chen, go to hell! The Asura demon sword unleashed a terrifying blade light and came down on Chu Chen. They clashed again, and Tang San used Sea God's light to protect his wound. Ignoring his not yet healed injuries, he lifted the Asura demon sword high with both hands and slammed it down. Shh! The luminous blade rent the air, making space itself tremble, yet Tang San pressed the attack. Drawing on his demigod strength, he gathered the water elements within him and manifested 3 hazy lotus flowers above his head. With a devout, fierce gaze, he released his Tang sect hidden weapon's greatest move, Guanyin's Tears. As Chu Chen raised his hand, the scepter of destruction materialized behind him. The will of destruction stacked and crashed against the Asura's strike. Tang San watched with grim certainty as his attack pierced straight into Chu Chen's heart. "Ha ha! Chu Chen, you are destined to die by my Tang sect hidden weapons. I have finally avenged Xiao Wu." Tang San's voice trembled with madness. "Once I become a divinity, I will find a way to resurrect Xiao Wu. Resurrect my beloved." He had just reached a fevered, ecstatic triumph when Chu Chen, completely unharmed, slapped him awake. The blow sent Tang San flying 1,000 meters. He stared in horror at Chu Chen's chest. The wound Guanyin's tears had driven through it had already healed as if nothing had happened. "Impossible! Your heart was clearly pierced," Tang San cried, disbelief and rage shredding his reason. Chu Chen looked at him calmly. "When the life path of blue-silver grass reaches its limit, I step into the realm of immortality. Tang San, your blue-silver grass, has taken the wrong path." With that single sentence, Chu Chen shattered Tang San's Dao heart. Tang San suddenly realized how badly he had been misled by Xiaogang's slander. All that talk about blue-silver grass cultivating poison and the 15, how thoroughly had he been suppressed by Chu Chen? Chu Chen's blue-silver grass now possessed boundless, immortal vitality. Even when its heart was pierced, it healed instantly. Tang San could not remain rational in the face of such a discovery. "Asura judgment," he roared, throwing caution to the winds, not caring if his body could withstand the counterstroke. The Asura god's supreme technique, Asura judgment, had been passed to him, but Tang San had not truly inherited divinity. Releasing Asura judgment in his current demigod frame forced his body to collapse and twist painfully. Boom! The sword strike was indescribably terrifying. The sky above turned into a swirl of black and red as a blade of judgment descended, carrying the will to condemn even divinities. Chu Chen spread his arms, pouring all the power of the destruction dragon spear and the scepter of destruction into one. They fused into a black-purple sun of destruction behind him, spinning and roiling with endless annihilating force. Destroying heaven and earth, Chu Chen unleashed one of his divine techniques. Black-purple thunder that loomed to destroy heaven and earth shrieked outward, radiating in all directions. The ocean beneath them had already long since evaporated. "Tang San, die!" Chu Chen spoke indifferently, driving his 20 and 16 to their limits and melding them almost perfectly. His 16 was raised into a higher, more terrible realm and poured into the blow. The will of destruction filled the high sky and manifested as a majestic descending figure, the god of destruction. Behind Tang San, the figures of the Asura god and the sea god also appeared and descended. Chu Chen snorted coldly, and one more graceful figure unfurled, the goddess of life. In that clash of 4 divinity avatars, the sea god was the first to erupt and immediately collapse. He was only a first-level god. Thrown into a high-level god-king-class confrontation, he was crushed outright. "Damn it," Tang San swore, defenses shattered. He had thought that as a dual god he had parity with Chu Chen, who would have expected the sea god to be so powerless, so completely overwhelmed. "Tang San, die!" Chu Chen shouted. The sun of destruction slammed down, colliding with Asura judgment. In that cataclysmic impact, Tang San's body was twisted into an unrecognizable shape. His vitality drained away faster than anything he had felt before, until even his soul was obliterated. "No!" Tang San roared, unwilling but utterly powerless. Against Chu Chen's strike, he had no strength left to resist. The fused power of his 2 divinities was utterly crushed. Tang San collapsed into nothingness and dissipated on the spot. Chapter 233. The Asura god's defenses are broken. Am I excited? Chu Chen watched impassively as Tang San dissolved into nothingness. At that moment, the voice of the god of destruction echoed in his mind. "Chu Chen, your 7th trial for the God King of Destruction has been completed. You now have the qualifications to inherit my god position." The god of destruction spoke slowly. Chu Chen noticed the tone this time was no longer solemn, more like a simple notification. "Senior, weren't there supposed to be an 8th and 9th trial?" Chu Chen began. Before he could finish, the god of destruction's indifferent voice interrupted him. "That doesn't matter. If I wished, I could have you complete just 1 trial and be done with it." Chu Chen fell silent. You really are overbearing, Senior, Chu Chen said with a short laugh. Prepare yourself. You don't need to undergo the 8th and 9th trials for the God King of Destruction. The moment your divine soul reaches level 99 will be the moment you truly inherit both the God positions of destruction and life. The voice faded from his mind. Chu Chen's expression did not relax. The final inheritance of the God position would certainly be arduous and fraught with twists and turns. What he would have to endure. There was still so much more to come. In the God realm, fury flared like wildfire. Damn the God of Destruction! No wonder he was so ruthless when he killed the Golden Dragon King. He gave the Golden Dragon King's origin to his successor. When the Asura god learned that Tang had been completely destroyed, he went into an instant mental breakdown. Through Tang he had discovered that Chu Chen had absorbed the origin of the Golden Dragon King. Enraged beyond measure, he transformed into a streak of blood-red light and shot straight for the residence of destruction. God of Destruction, come out here! The whole god realm trembled. The Asura god's direct descent on the residence of destruction ripped away any pretense of calm. Countless divinities looked on in shock. Why, of all things, would the Asura god and the god of destruction, two god kings, suddenly tear off their masks and fly into open conflict like this? Asura, don't be hasty. The god of destruction appeared with an amused smile. Did I seem hasty? The Asura god ground his teeth but forced himself to rein in his fury. Destruction, you have no regard for the discipline of the god realm, descending on my domain with murder in your heart. What is this? Do you want to sow discord in the god realm? This conduct incites internal strife. What crime should you be charged with? It was exactly the reaction the god of destruction had expected. He leveled the charge of inciting internal strife at the Asura god at once. The Asura god's face contorted with rage. Destruction, you're arrogant beyond measure. Behind our backs, you secretly integrated the origin of the Golden Dragon King into your successor. Do you intend to help the Golden Dragon King achieve nirvana and rebirth? If his origin is revived, it will be a disaster for the entire god realm. Can you bear that responsibility? The Asura god showed no fear. Accuse me, he thought. Who doesn't know how to point fingers? Hearing this, the other divinities were stunned. The Golden Dragon King hadn't actually died? His origin still existed? The Golden Dragon King's origin had long been refined. He started as a spirit beast. I secured that opportunity for my successor. What's wrong with that? You descended with the sea god to bestow god positions. You resurrected a dead successor. You forcibly seized another's origin, and you broke the iron rule of one position per divinity, wanting the same person to inherit two god positions. Why am I not allowed to kill the Golden Dragon King and allow my successor to absorb it? What kind of twisted logic is this? Listening to the two great god kings bickering, even the god of evil and the goddess of kindness were speechless. They weren't exactly acting like civilized beings. Aren't you planning to hand over the god kingships of destruction and life? The Asura god demanded. I learned it from you, the god of destruction replied with a smile. The Asura god's chest heaved with fury. He unsheathed the Asura demon sword, a terrifying swordlight shot at the god of destruction. Boom! The god of destruction sneered as the scepter of destruction materialized in his hand from nothing. The will of destruction bloomed and struck the Asura god. The two god kings clashed, and the very center of the god realm shook violently. The god of evil and the goddess of kindness turned pale and appeared high in the sky. Are you two insane? Fighting like this, aren't you afraid you'll destabilize the god realm? The god of evil barked. Stop! A battle between god kings is something the god realm cannot bear. Green gold light descended as the goddess of life arrived. Her beautiful eyes flashed with anger at the Asura god. His actions had enraged her as well. Destruction, do you really think I'm afraid of you? The Asura god shouted, brandishing his sword. But the god of destruction would not back down. He had long disliked the Asura god, and now he had the perfect chance to crush and subdue him. Asura, don't forget, it was you who meddled in the lower realm's trials, changing their content at will and breaking the rules. Just for that, you are guilty. The god of destruction unleashed a terrifying aura, rolling across the realm, making everything quake. Didn't you also alter the trials? The Asura god shot back. My successor didn't die, unlike some people whose successor was resurrected and then died again. That single line shattered the Asura god completely. Destruction. Shut up! Chu Chen had no idea what was unfolding in the god realm. After killing Tang San, he left the sea where Sea God Island had been and headed to the Elder Hall. With his current speed, it didn't take long to arrive. Just after he returned, he sensed a strikingly familiar presence. A holy radiance of light was boiling over the entire Elder Hall, altering the heavens and the earth. The source of that power was right inside the hall. Is this the aura of the final inheritance trial descending? Has Xiaoshui become a god a step ahead of me? Chu Chen flashed into the hall. Douluo felt his arrival and explained, I don't know why, but the angel god skipped many steps of the inheritance. She is currently releasing her power, enabling Xiaoshui to step into level 99. Once Xiaoshui reaches level 99, it will be time for her to inherit the angel god's position. Chu Chen understood. He knew a little about why the angel god had suddenly changed course. The scepter of destruction had been held to her throat. How could she refuse? Chu Chen didn't linger in the Elder Hall. He returned to the Heaven Do Empire, seeking Ye Lingling and Chuer. Now that Tang San was completely gone, perhaps he should finally take a moment to rest. Chapter 234, Xingluo's Compromise. Chu Chen prepares to unify the Douluo continent. 1 month later. Ha ha! Where is that brat, Chu Chen? Hurry up and show yourself! Bo arrived at the academy grinning and found Chu Chen stretched out on a lounge chair by the training field, basking in the sun, with Ye Lingling and Chuer beside him. Old Poison, could you ever lower your voice a little? Chu Chen said, half exasperated. Bo's smile widened. If he was this pleased, Chu Chen knew good news was coming. You don't need to worry about Xingluo anymore, Bo announced. They've agreed to unite. Next, we only need to arrange the specifics, and then the Douluo continent will truly be unified, Bo laughed. That's wonderful. This way we don't have to unify by war, Ye Lingling said happily. Old Poison, why don't you handle these affairs? Chu Chen smiled and patted Bo's shoulder. Bo put on an offended look, but didn't refuse. Fine, since I'm basically your agent now, I'll take care of the specifics. But before that, take me to the Lake of Life. With the continent about to be unified, the Soul Beast clan has the right to know. As the Federation is formed, we need their input on some matters. Chu Chen agreed without hesitation. Perfect. Ye Lingling also needs to get her 7th spirit ring. I plan to take her to see Senior Emerald Swan. She should be able to help Ye Lingling get a good 7th spirit ring. And Chuer hasn't been back in a long time, Chu Chen added. Chuer hummed in mock reproach. It's not my fault. You're never around, and only now have you cleared your schedule. Chu Chen stroked Chuer's soft golden hair fondly. Once everything was arranged, Chu Chen, Bo, Ye Lingling, and Chuer set off. Chu Chen also summoned Douluo. In the Elder Hall, after Chu Chen explained their purpose, Douluo agreed decisively. All right. Little Shui is now undergoing the Angel God's 9th trial. It's the most critical stage. There's nothing I can do to help her right now. I'll go with you. After he spoke, his gaze drifted to Bibi Dong nearby, who was quietly watching the place where Qian Renshui was in seclusion with a gentle expression. Chu Chen and the others noticed Bibi Dong, but Chu Chen ignored her. She seemed indifferent, simply standing there watching. Let's go. Douluo sighed, and the group vanished. Chuer, take them ahead first. I still need to invite 2 people, Chu Chen said after a moment's thought. All right, but hurry. Chuer didn't overthink it and led Bo and the others toward the Lake of Life. Chu Chen unfurled his ice god dragon wings, opened his 3rd spirit core space, and tore through space, far north. Tianmeng, are you thinking I'll call Binger and the Snow Empress? Tianmeng Iceworm asked as they arrived. He was surprised by Chu Chen's decision. The far north was isolated from the rest of the world, but Tianmeng could sense Chu Chen's sincerity in remembering them. The far north is part of the Douluo continent, Chu Chen said. If Di Tian and the others have the right to know, Snow Empress and Ice Empress should too. Snow Empress appeared, gliding gracefully. She nodded to Chu Chen with a smile. Chu Chen, what brings you here? Chu Chen and Tianmeng Iceworm explained everything. Snow Empress, Ice Empress, Titan Snow Demon King, and the Ice Bear King were the four greatest powers of the far north. They all listened in deep thought. "What do you think, Mother?" "I'll follow your opinion," Ice Bear King Xiaobai asked, seeking Snow Empress's view. Snow Empress nodded. "I agree. The unification of the three major human forces isn't strictly the Soul Beast clan's affair, but the fact you considered us matters. I can feel the sentiment behind it. Since Ditian and the Sovereign are supporting you, we won't object." "Xiaobai, Atai, stay here. I'll accompany Chu Chen with Binger," Snow Empress decided. Lake of Life. Terrifying auras gathered there. Not only the fierce beasts from the Stardew Great Forest, but also the two mighty presences from the far north. Among the human representatives were Chu Chen, Dugu Bo, and Qian Daoliu. "Chu Chen, this matter doesn't directly concern the Soul Beast clan, but with the unification of the Douluo continent, our greatest concern is the survival of the Soul Beast clan," Ditian said in a deep voice. "If human power becomes consolidated, it will be a force the Soul Beasts must reckon with." Snow Empress shared the sentiment. Once the Douluo Federation is established, there must be the strictest legal protections for Soul Beasts. Moreover, Ditian continued, "I will find a way for Spirit Masters to obtain spirit rings without relying on hunting Soul Beasts. If that can be achieved, lives need not be taken." Chu Chen had already considered this. "Is that really possible?" Emerald Swan asked anxiously. After stepping into the ultimate control of life's authority, Emerald Swan said she had some initial clues. "I've sensed some possibilities, but it will take time to verify. Everyone, don't worry." Chu Chen raised his hand, and in his palm a sapling of the life tree bloomed. His expression turned profound as he thought. He kept to the side after that. Emerald Swan and Qi Wang would take Ye Lingling and Chewer to seek spirit rings, while Chu Chen remained by the lake. Below the water, he sensed Gu Yue's aura and wanted to reach out, but didn't want to disturb her. "I wonder how Gu Yue's doing." He felt an extremely pure Dragon Clan bloodline, so pure it made his own bloodline resonate. It wasn't just the Silver Dragon King bloodline, nor merely the Golden Dragon King. It was the Dragon God bloodline. For a moment he wondered if he had sensed it wrongly, especially since he also detected a fleeting trace of the Goddess of Life's aura. "Gu Yue's situation is stable. There shouldn't be any major problems. I just don't know how long her seclusion will last," someone said, and Chu Chen nodded inwardly. His spirit power surged. Signs showed his spirit power was on the verge of breaking into the 97th level, so Chu Chen took his chance, sat cross-legged by the Lake of Life, and prepared to make the breakthrough. Chapter 235, The Power of Space-Time. 3 soul cores merge into one? Chu Chen remained in seclusion at the Lake of Life for 3 full days until the life authority he controlled had become extraordinarily pure. At that moment, his spiritual energy truly stepped into the 97th level. As expected, after spiritual energy reaches level 95, each level is an entirely new world, he murmured. The authorities of life and destruction he wielded had long since reached perfection, but he still wanted to push further, to make one last crucial advance before becoming a god. He feared that if he did not take this step now, even godhood might not bring true perfection. He sought out Ditian privately. "Senior Ditian," he said, "I want to know your thoughts on whether it's possible to condense a 4th soul core." "A 4th soul core?" Ditian's face flickered. "That is almost impossible. Even I have only condensed a 2nd core. For you to have condensed 3 already is a miracle. Are you really willing to risk trying for a 4th? Chu Chen shook his head. "I have a premonition. If I don't take this final step before becoming a god, it could become a heart demon." Ditian frowned. Condensing a 4th soul core would require terrifyingly vast spiritual energy. Even with the massive level 97 energy you have, it's by no means easy. But if you insist on trying, I will do everything I can to assist. Chu Chen considered the possible locations. Even the Lake of Life won't be safe enough. If the power spirals, it could destroy the entire Stardew Great Forest. Snow Empress, who had arrived, suggested, "What about the far north?" "Even there, you'd risk harming the spirit beasts," Chu Chen replied. "I would rather go to the Dragon Valley Plain. It will disturb the Dragon Clan elders, but it may be the only viable option." Ditian thought for a moment and then nodded. "I know the spatial coordinates of the Dragon Valley Plain. The master is still in seclusion, so I will take you there." With that, DTN's dragon god claw flashed with golden light. "Snow Empress, tell Chuer and Lingling that I'm setting off," Chu Chen added. Snow Empress bowed and vanished. DTN tore through the fabric of heaven and earth with his dragon god claw, while Chu Chen used his spatial soul core to stabilize the rift. In no time, they arrived in the desolate expanse of the Dragon Valley Plain. "So this is the Dragon Valley Plain," DTN breathed. "I can sense an extremely terrifying aura, the ancestors of the Dragon Clan. If it weren't for Chu Chen and the Silver Dragon King, I never would have known about this place. Now that I've come in person, I finally understand its scale." "This is indeed the most suitable place for you," DTN agreed. "Thank you for the trouble, Senior. I'll begin now." Chu Chen flashed into the sky. His two spiritual companions unfurled. 18 spirit arrays condensed and shimmered around him, reflecting off one another and warping the surrounding space. "Now," Chu Chen said quietly, "I possess 3 soul cores. The third is a spatial soul core that balances life and destruction, using the power of distorted space to stabilize the terrifying force when life and destruction fuse. That balance is the key to the step I must take." He explained his plan. He was not trying to condense a 4th independent soul core. Rather, his 4th would be the true core of the 3 existing cores, a single, unified true core. By using spatial distortion, he would force the authorities of life and destruction to fuse into one final, unique soul core. Radiant light bloomed from within him. The 3 soul cores within his body almost left his physical form at once, manifesting as 3 spheres of light that bent the surrounding space. It had taken him thousands of trials to stably integrate those cores into his body in the first place. Now, merely drawing them together produced a fierce repulsion that nearly exhausted his spiritual energy. "It's even harder than I thought," he muttered through gritted teeth. From the ground behind him, a life pillar rose, dripping endless life aura, and the destruction ancient dragon manifested and coiled atop it. Chu Chen concentrated every resource at his command. His spiritual energy and techniques, the amplification from multiple domains, the ice god dragon wings, the origin chi augmentation from the Tianmeng iceworm, and Chuer's power of destiny. The space in front of him buckled, shattered, and reformed again and again. Surging spatial power wrapped around him as he forced the 1st and 2nd soul cores to move toward the 3rd, toward the true core. DTN watched, stunned. "He's not trying to condense a 4th soul core at all," he whispered. "He's attempting to fuse the existing 3 into one." If Chu Chen succeeded, DTN thought, his spiritual energy could leap to level 99, and his strength would rival that of the godly realm. The thought was almost incomprehensible. The distorted space carried the nascent true core of life and destruction, and then used spatial power to complete the arduous fusion. Chu Chen stepped into a realm of perception he had never fully touched before. He no longer sensed only life and destruction, but extinction and resurgence, rebirth, and the endless flow of space-time itself. What he was feeling now was the power of space-time. He had brushed the beginnings of temporal power before. His blue-silver Emperor array could anticipate opponents' actions, and with the Dark Demon Evil God Tiger King's ability combined with the step he was taking now, his control had expanded beyond space alone. He was beginning to command space-time itself. Chapter 236. The Beginning of Creation. Chu Chen's Hibernation, the Descent of the Sea God. The time and space power Chu Chen now wielded was not some ability he'd suddenly acquired on a whim. It was the final realm he had comprehended after the ultimate evolutions of his blue-silver Emperor and destruction ancient dragon spirit. In this realm, life and destruction had become abstract concepts. What Chu Chen held was no longer merely life or destruction. He sat and watched the beginning of the universe's creation, the ultimate revival of life and the first withering of all things. Enveloped by the power of time and space, he was no longer bound by any rule. He seemed to glimpse the scene when the original god of creation split into the 5 great god kings. He saw the great war between the dragon god and the god realm, the forming of the Dragon Valley Plain, and the withering of 10,000 dragon souls. He even saw, 10,000 years later, a youth born with the Spirit Eye spirit, carrying the plane's luck. Everything, absolutely everything, converged into that extraordinarily special three-core beating in front of Chu Chen's chest. His three core, has it really completely fused into one? Detian stared at the vision in stunned silence. The original three cores had now merged into one. Through the distortion of time and space, life and destruction had become one, giving birth to a kind of ultimate, pure power of heaven and earth, the supreme law that had existed since the universe's beginning. Under Detian's gaze, the five and the destruction ancient dragon behind Chu Chen condensed into two beams of light. They sank into the world and dispersed into countless motes, merging with time and space. The unique 33 core formed by the fusion of the three cores, the unique 33 core that belonged to Chu Chen, now contained the true power of creation. It was no longer simply destruction and life. And Chu Chen's 23 at this moment had stepped straight into the 99th level realm. After that, Chu Chen fell into a long, eternal silence. He seemed to lie dormant, waiting for that power to truly fuse with him. When everything revived, that would be the moment of his real perfection. His current strength already surpasses the realm of a 9. He has stepped into the divine rank. Detian exclaimed in shock. He had to admit he was witnessing a miracle. Though still human by realm, Chu Chen now possessed power comparable to a god. Even before becoming a true god, the instant his 333 cores fused into one, becoming the real unique core of creation, his combat power was already on par with a divinity. And once Chu Chen inherited a god position, the strength he would possess could easily eclipse the god-king realm. Truly terrifying. Detian remained by Chu Chen's side, watching. The 36 that had once appeared lifeless now sprouted a faint breath of life, like a new bud pushing through soil. It brimmed with surging vitality. In that moment, Chu Chen resembled a seed buried deep in the earth, awaiting final transformation, awaiting true evolution. Far from them, above the sea where Sea God Island lay, lightning cracked and thunder rolled. Space itself shattered and a figure cut through the air. He had stepped from the god realm, bearing a sea god trident that flashed with golden light and radiated a domineering aura. Boom! The figure was none other than the sea god, Poseidon. Chu Chen, you destroyed my sea god island and severed my legacy. Today, I will execute you. Even if I must endure the backlash of the plains, I will kill you utterly, the sea god declared, his gaze icy. Having sensed Chu Chen's 36, he pierced space and headed straight for the Stardew Great Forest. Inside the Stardew Great Forest, Emerald Swan's expression changed abruptly. She had received a telepathic message from the Silver Dragon King. He had already sensed the sea god's arrival and was racing for the forest. The sea god was coming for Chu Chen. What? A divinity, a true divinity. Douluo, Qiandaoliu, and the others staying there were stunned. A divinity could actually leave the god realm and descend on the Douluo continent? We're in trouble, Emerald Swan said, face pale. The Lord is still in seclusion, and Chu Chen and Detian aren't here. We must lure him away. The Lord and Chu Chen mustn't be disturbed, she decided. We'll go too, Douluo said without hesitation. Qiandaoliu agreed. Their fates were bound together now. They didn't believe this divinity, who was willing to break the rules to kill Chu Chen, would only be after him. Boom! A blue-gold light slammed down above the Lake of Life. The terrifying pressure made even 9 martial artists like Douluo and Qiandaoliu bow under it. Is this the pressure of a true divinity? Douluo gritted his teeth, eyes wide with horror. The gap was simply too vast. Even at the 99th level, one would likely be wiped out by a casual motion from a divinity. I am the sea god. Let Chu Chen step out and meet his death. The sea god's voice echoed across the Stardew Great Forest. That single wave of pressure crushed any thought of resistance. This was complete, overwhelming dominance. With merely a thought, the sea god could probably obliterate any of them. What kind of 36 is this? Qiandaoliu's expression shifted suddenly, but instead of fear, he felt an unexpected surge of joy. A ray of golden light pierced the sky, and pieces of divine feather drifted down, each carrying holy flame that burned away the sea god's 22. A brilliant sword light flashed. Boom! The sea god's expression changed. He raised his trident to defend, only to see an exquisitely beautiful holy figure step through the heavens, clad in angel god armor, holding the divine artifact angelic sacred sword. Her eyes were cold, edged with frost. Angel God? No, you're the new angel god, the sea god frowned. He had not expected another divinity to descend. The figure was Qian Renshui, who had now achieved the angel god position. Sea god, you hypocrite, get lost, Qian Renshui said and struck. The clash of 22 between them was terrifying, making heaven and earth tremble. Qian Renshui's arrival at least made the sea god's task less straightforward. I have witnessed the descent of the angel god. Qian Douluo wept with excitement. He had spent his life waiting for this moment, and now he was alive to see his granddaughter ascend to the angel god position. How could he not be moved? Just a yellow-haired girl who only just inherited a god position, and you dare to be arrogant. The sea god scoffed, brandishing his trident. The two of them battled 10,000 meters above the forest, momentum crashing like tides across the sky. 239, Chapter 237, Chu Chen breaks through the barrier. Time reversal, the aura of creation? Leave him to me. Although Qian Renshui had only just inherited her divinity, she showed no fear facing an established god like the sea god. Angelic flames flared around her, and like a brilliant sun she shot into the sky. Her divine barrier was constantly shielding Chandalu and the others below. I really didn't expect this girl to become a god ahead of everyone else, heh? Dugu Bo's voice was full of feeling. Now that Qian Renshui had obtained divinity, holding back the sea god should be possible. Beside him, Emerald Swan's expression had grown grave. She sensed an aura, the aura of new life, weaving together with the Silver Dragon King's bloodline power and growing stronger. It was no longer the faint, fragile life it had been before. The Dominator. Emerald Swan looked toward the Lake of Life with worry. On Dragon Valley Plain, the power rising within Chu Chen kept swelling. Thunderous dragon roars reverberated through the world. Even Di Tian felt compelled to bow. The dragon lineage within him has become even purer. The dragon mark from the dawn of creation, is this the primordial imprint of his spirit? It's even older than the dragon god. Di Tian's heart trembled. He landed not far from Chu Chen and watched as the single spirit core. Chu Chen was condensing, made his body seem like a bronze furnace containing the cosmos. His entire being had become the universe. Chu Chen himself was undergoing sublimation. His aura was moving toward the true realm of God. Everything was within his perception. He's about to break through. Di Tian backed away, waiting for the moment Chu Chen would emerge. Boom! The instant Di Tian moved, earth, sky, and rivers were ripped apart. Golden and black gold light washed the world. The spirit core bloomed and burst through the soil. Around Chu Chen, a dragon shadow swept across the land. The destruction, ancient dragon tore through the firmament and merged into him. The radiant light was blinding. Everything around it dimmed. Chu Chen stepped forward, the single spirit core perfectly fused to his being. With a wave of his hand, the plane fell silent. You succeeded? Dai Tian asked. I succeeded, but I'm still one step short. Chu Chen smiled faintly. Every gesture made the plane tremble. He was a true dominator now. Now that I wield the two great authorities of life and destruction and draw on their origin energy, I've touched the concept of the beginning of creation. I'm still a little short of becoming a god of creation. He gathered an enormous quantity of origin energy at his fingertip and let it fall. The sun, moon, and stars seemed to reverse. The sun and moon flowed backward and the world flipped. This is the power over time and space. Di Tian's eyes widened. You can actually reverse time and space within a limited area? Chu Chen retracted his power and smiled calmly. Within a certain spatial range, yes. Di Tian understood. He used the dragon god claw to rend space and form a tunnel. Chu Chen no longer needed Di Tian's protection to be safe inside it. Seeing him move through that spatial rift with such composure moved Di Tian deeply. Chu Chen, I've watched him grow. Di Tian smiled, remembering the first time he had met Chu Chen when the boy had only been at the spirit ancestor realm. Now, even without a god position, experts below God King rank would hardly be his match. He had transcended Douluo's conventional cultivation structure, forging an unprecedented path, using 3 spirit cores to condense a single ultimate spirit core, freeing himself from the plane's constraints. With level 99 strength, he could even slay a divinity. Meanwhile, in the sky, the fight continued. God skill, holy flame, heavenly punishment. The angel god Qian Renshui raised her sacred sword with both hands and drew down celestial light condensed from holy flames, locking on the sea god. The sea god took the attack seriously, snapping his trident through space. A blue-gold halo erupted outward. The first form of the 13 golden tridents, boundless sea, limitless waves. Boundless sea, limitless waves collided with holy flame heavenly punishment, canceling part of Qian Renshui's divine barrier. The sea god then unleashed another technique. The third form of the 13 golden tridents, gone forever. The sea god's strongest single-target strike rippled blue gold across the sky, a rolling torrent that tore through the holy flame heavenly punishment and struck at Qian Renshui's true body. God's skill? Angel's shield. Wings folded behind Qian Renshui as she fully retracted. Her divine barrier transformed into a shield to absorb the blow. Boom! A smear of golden blood leaked from the corner of Qian Renshui's mouth. The sea god did not come out unscathed either. The residual holy flame in the sky burned at him. Xiaoshui! Qian Dalu watched her with worried eyes. Emerald Swan, I have returned. Suddenly, Ditian stepped out from the spatial tunnel, hands behind his back, taking in the situation at a glance. A true divinity had descended. Senior Ditian, where's Chu Chen? Ye Lingling asked anxiously. Ditian looked up and was stunned. All gazes followed his to the sky. The battle seemed to freeze. High above, Qian Renshui stared blankly at a figure who had appeared without anyone noticing, wearing a faint smile. As soon as he appeared, the sea god's blue-gold divine barrier dissipated. It's you, Chu Chen, the sea god hissed, cold hatred in his eyes. Of course he recognized him. It is I. Chu Chen's voice was calm. He waved his hand and the blue-gold divine barrier vanished. A warm surge of life energy flowed into Qian Renshui and her wounds healed instantly. Chu Chen, you? Qian Renshui gasped. She could no longer read Chu Chen's strength at all. Even though his origin energy remained at level 99, there was no way to gauge him. Are you all right? Chu Chen asked gently. He looked at Ye Lingling and Chuer in turn. Given their bond, a single glance conveyed everything to them. Leave it to me. Chu Chen spoke and walked slowly toward the sea god. White gold light streamed from his body, Tianmeng Iceworm. As Chu Chen stepped into a brand new realm, Tianmeng Iceworm seemed to change too. It had been touched by a hint of divine aura. Tianmeng, you, the Snow Empress cried out. She could feel the transformation in Tianmeng Iceworm, and she knew it was because of Chu Chen. Damn, I feel like I've transcended my species, Tianmeng Iceworm said, stunned and exhilarated. Chapter 238, The Fall of the Sea God. The final trial arrives. God Realm. I can sense it. Chu Chen has already taken that step. Even if he hasn't inherited a god position yet, he already has the power to contend with the sea god. The god of destruction's blood and chi churned faintly. He was clearly wounded. The goddess of life hovered beside him, weaving healing energies. His injury had come from the duel with the Asura god. Sea god, the goddess of life said, voice cool. If it weren't for Asura practically coveting you, how could he be allowed to go to the lower realm and attack Chu Chen? Her gentle manner had hardened. Her words carried a dangerous edge. The actions of the Asura god and the sea god had angered her. Humph. Asura still won't dare truly cross me, the goddess of life continued. But the sea god going to the lower realm is one thing. If Asura shamelessly follows him, even if I must risk my life, I will kill him. The god of destruction had mostly recovered. He rose to his feet, eyes cold with murder. What nonsense are you talking about? Both of you must be well, the goddess of life teased. Didn't you say you wanted to be a godfather? The little life in Guyu's belly is growing stronger. The moment he is born will be when you can be a godfather. The destruction god scratched his head in embarrassment. Haha, it's shameful to admit I haven't even been a father yet, and now I'm asking to be a godfather. Does Chu Chen know? The goddess of life asked. Not yet. Forget it, we'll announce it when the time comes. Once I acknowledge my god grandson, Chu Chen will be my godson. Across the realm, the sea god and Chu Chen faced off. Sea god, ever since I took your vast sea cosmic shroud, a battle between us was inevitable. I didn't expect it would come so soon, Chu Chen said, flicking a finger. A wisp of golden energy condensed from the authority of life and coiled around his fingertip. It's just that your spirit core has only reached level 99. You really think you have the qualifications to fight me? What a joke. the sea god sneered. His divine aura flashed cold light. He didn't take Chu Chen seriously. In his eyes, those below divinity were ants. Whether I have the qualifications, we'll find out on the battlefield. The destruction dragon spear condensed in Chu Chen's hand again. The spear had long since shed its old black gold hue and evolved into pure gold, a purer gold representing the will of creation itself. Boom! Chu Chen struck first. He vanished from sight, and within the sea god's divine perception, reappeared behind him in an instant. Thrusting the spear, he unleashed a destiny impact embedded with the power of fate. The sea god jerked in surprise and spun to retaliate, but Chu Chen's aura was strange, ethereal, slipping through the sea god's senses. By the time the sea god reacted, a bloody gash had opened on his shoulder. Chu Chen remained where he had been, as if he had never moved at all. How is this possible? The sea god stammered. He could not lock onto Chu Chen's aura. Is this still a titled fighter? What kind of power is this? This isn't just a spirit core anymore. Damn it, what is he playing at? The sea god unleashed the full power of his divine armor. It reformed over his arms as the sea god trident became a streak of golden light and slammed forward. Boom! Chu Chen met the blow with the destruction dragon spear. Under extreme spatial distortion, the compressed forces erupted. The sea god reeled back, wounded again and again, while Chu Chen remained as calm as ever. The destruction dragon spear spun in his hand, and the forces of life, destruction, time, and space bloomed together, fused into the will of creation itself. Destruction verdict, Chu Chen shouted. The spear cast out a straight light of extinction. It seemed like a single beam, but it spread outward instantly, striking the sea god from every direction. Golden 13 halberds, 10th form, son of the sea god roared, sweeping the trident in ceaseless defense and probing for an opening to counterattack. The collisions erupted into blinding explosions. If not for Qian Renshui's protective divine light, the entire Star Do Great Forest would likely have been leveled by that power. Against the sea god's divine techniques, Chu Chen moved with uncanny fluidity. He was no longer bound by the old plane of combat. His actual fighting strength had far surpassed the limits of a first-level divinity. This is the first true test of my unique spirit core. I'll use you to temper it, Chu Chen said, raising his hand. The space before him solidified. All the domains he had mastered, the blue-silver domain, the domain of destruction, the ice god domain, the evil domain, coalesced into a single pure field. Within that field, his energy could be released in its cleanest form. He stirred up the majestic torrent of his spirit core behind him and surged toward the sea god's attacks. Boom! They collided again and again. Blue gold and golden auras spread and intertwined. With each clash, Chu Chen grew stronger. He unleashed the full might of creation, using both his spirit core and his mastery of destructive will as the means of attack. Dragon shadows filled the sky, carrying down the power of life drawn from the heavenly source, slashing at the sea god. The sea god's divine armor began to crumble. Every strike from Chu Chen's spear and his scepter of destruction sent out devastating impacts. With one thunderous blow, the sea god was sent tumbling from the high heavens. Tragedy of creation, Chu Chen cried. The unique spirit core flared brilliantly, finally transcending time and space. It condensed into a sliver of flowing light and dissolved into the void. It seemed insignificant to observers, but the sea god felt a cold prickling across his scalp. Instinctively, he dodged and fled backward, vanishing in an instant. Chu Chen watched in silence until a streak of blood arced across the horizon. He took a step and then appeared before the sea god in the blink of an eye. The sea god's chest had been blown apart, flesh and blood splattered in all directions. How could this be? The sea god choked, trembling. He could not comprehend how someone without an official god position could so effortlessly slay a first-level divinity. Surprised? Chu Chen asked. The moment I stepped into this new realm, I rooted myself in all things, using the power of creation as my foundation. What I wield now isn't purely destruction or life, he said, smiling faintly and looking up at the god realm. It is the power of all things at the beginning of creation. Though you are a first-level god, you are not enough. A majestic divine light shot from the god realm and struck the sea god. His body exploded where he stood, reduced to nothing. Chu Chen laughed, loud and clear. He felt it. His final divinity legacy had arrived. This was what he had told Di Tian, the last step, to control the origin of creation and ascend to the true seat of creation.